A wee disclaimer here. We're not film experts. We're doing this for fun and to try and shine a light on films which are seen as rotten on movie review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, and to poke fun at them as well. It's a chance to highlight that the critical consensus isn't always everything.
We'd also like to remind everyone that we're about to go over all the film's details, including the plot. So there will be spoilers. Also, we just want to mention it's okay to disagree with our opinion. If you do, you can tell us and become part of the discussion. With that in mind, thanks for joining us and enjoy!
Hello and welcome back to Rank Rotten, a Rotten Movies podcast. I'm Mikey.
And I'm Kat.
We're the podcast that answers the question, is that movie really actually pure rotten?
Yeah, is it that bad?
Yeah, is it that bad? Like, really? I feel that's pretty much the question we ask here all the time.
I think it is, and I think it's a question we ask a lot in life.
Aye, true, eh? Is it that bad? Really? Come on.
Could be better, could be worse.
Kat, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you, yeah. Had a really lovely Sunday morning. Spoiler alert, we're recording on a Sunday.
Yeah.
We went to the gym, and I really enjoyed it. It was a good session.
We've cracked it because the gym's quite quiet on a Sunday morning.
I know. I'm really surprised, but no, it was really lovely.
I'm surprised, but I'm also like, cool.
Yeah, I'll take it. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I had a nice day yesterday. I went out with my buddy Bob to go and see a Minecraft movie.
Oh, yeah?
And go out for lunch. Minecraft movie is actually rotten, by the way.
I had heard this, yeah.
Yep, so I think we'll be looking at that soon because I'd like to.
I think it makes sense to cover it.
Yeah, well, wait, when it comes out on general sort of release or rent or whatever, we'll get it and we'll watch it and we'll do it, I think, because I had a lot of fun with it, eh? I don't want to talk about it too much if we're going to cover it, but I had a lot of fun with it.
Okay.
And we laughed a lot, the two of us, and we had a good time out, so.
Nice, oh well, that's something to look forward to, isn't it?
Like getting to watch it again, because there's a lot going on in that movie.
Yeah.
So, Kat, what's today's movie anyway?
Today we are covering a Goofy movie.
We are.
Yeah.
So I asked you, but I knew the answer.
You did. Yeah, a Goofy movie seems to really be resurging in popularity.
Yeah, 30 years.
Yeah, that's it. It seems to be this magical 30-year number.
Kat, you read something about this?
I did, yeah. It's something me and my mum and dad have talked about, is that there seems to be this thing around 30 years. It's when people have peak nostalgia for something.
Mm.
And it's really interesting because certainly from my point of view, this movie just was a bit of a non-entity. Like, it just wasn't really on my radar when I was younger. But in the last year or so, it's really kind of growing. Like, you can get the soundtrack on vinyl.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, you can get backpacks, hoodies, t-shirts, everything related
Probably
to
lounge
it.
flies.
About 3 or 4 different ones. Some of them are a bit choice.
I think I can tell you why it didn't do so good for a couple of reasons. Mm-hmm. It was sandwiched between Lion King and Hercules.
That is a tough spot to be in.
Super tough spot to be in, right? And not only that, is it wasn't animated by Disney, like movies, Disney Pictures or whatever the company's called. I've got it written down somewhere. It'll probably come up later. Wasn't it animated by them? It was animated by a studio called Disney Movie Toon. The animation wasn't like high budget movie animation. It was lower budget, and this film looks like a Goof Troop episode. So this is a movie. This is essentially the Goof Troop movie. Yeah. Goof Troop was the TV series. Yeah. Which we must have came out before this, and this must have came out as on the back of that.
That's right. Yeah.
And Goof Troop was a series about Goofy raising his son Max, and so they made a movie, and this is it. Yeah. Not cinema level animation.
And I think you can see that, but it doesn't mean it's not good.
No, exactly. It doesn't mean it's not good. It's great. Mm-hmm. It's Disney animation. The characters are those weird dog things that everyone is, or whatever they are, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure what Goofy is.
Yeah, whatever Goofy is. I always thought it was a beagle because of the Beagle Boys, but I don't think it is. Because they're DuckTales, and so I don't think all the dogs in the Goofy canon are beagles. Like Snoopy's a beagle, is he, no?
Yeah, Snoopy's supposed to be a beagle.
So, bit of range because he looks different for the Beagle Boys.
Yeah.
Also not a Disney character.
Oh, we're getting way down the rabbit hole. Way off. And with that in mind, should we just dive into it?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So, a Goofy movie was released on the 7th of April, 1995, so it's just turned 30.
It has literally just turned 30.
Yeah. Well, at the time of recording, it's like, start of May, so, it wasn't that long ago. Its runtime is 1 hour and 18 minutes, again, probably reflecting the fact this is essentially a long episode of a Goof Troop.
Yeah, it is a little quick one.
Sorry, I just said a Goof Troop again. The series is called Goof Troop.
You love a Goof Troop.
Not a Goof Troop. The budget was $18 million and it made $37.6 million at the box office. Pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good run.
Yeah.
It was directed by Kevin Lima. And actually, interestingly, on the discussion we just had, it was produced by Walt Disney Television Animation.
Mm-hmm.
So it really harks back to the fact that that animation style is very television. It is not based on a book, but it's obviously, as you mentioned, based on goofy cartoons.
Goof Troop. Goof Troop. Yeah. That's what the tune did, right? Something like that.
I think so. I don't think I've ever watched an episode of Goof Troop.
Version. Remix. Sorry.
The tagline for this movie is quite good, where it says, "It's hard to be cool when your dad's goofy." Right. Which is a bit of a slam on Goofy, but it's a shame.
Synopsis for this movie that we've garnered together. So I think we generally, synopses are sort of gathered for different places and or whatever. We look some up to see roughly what people are summarising the film as, and then So anyway, what we've got here is when Max makes a preposterous promise to a girl he has a crush on, his chances of fulfilling it seem hopeless when he is dragged onto a cross-country trip with his embarrassing father, who happens to be a goofy.
I think that's pretty in a nutshell.
So right, okay, let's have a wee discussion already, guys. The scores for this movie, these scores. So when we initially looked last year to check what the score of this movie was, it was 59%. It was on the fencer, as you might want to call it. It wasn't
on the fencer, yeah.
Right? 59%. So it was very close to being fresh. Well, it just so happens that Rotten Tomatoes have decided to go back and look at reviews historically, so look at reviews that were released at the time, and then reflect those reviews in the Rotten Tomatoes score, which is, guess what? Shifting the scores around.
Yes, which makes our job a little bit interesting.
Very interesting. I can't believe this.
Yeah, I can't.
I'm outraged.
It's an odd choice. So I think not only has this been critically reviewed more recently because of that sort of 30-year nostalgia factor, as I say, but also they've been going back through actual newspaper articles and adding in historical reviews into the aggregator. So it will mean these borderline cases are going to be a bit more tricky sometimes.
So, but we decided, even though the score had changed, that we were going to do this anyway. And given that it was rotten since Rotten Tomatoes inception.
Yeah.
Up until a couple of months ago, it's been rotten all that time. We thought, we're still going to do it.
Yes.
It's kind of up to debate, I guess, but hey ho, it was always on the fencer, and it is what it is. So
I feel, the
score we had was 59%.
Yes, that was it. The popcorn meter, I think, has always been a bit more favourable this movie.
Yep.
And as things stood when we checked, it was 71% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I think it was about that back then. We actually jot down the scores sort of thing when we were looking at the movie. So that's how we knew that the score was that was the score initially, and that it had changed by like 5%.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things, if we ever tried to do an older movie.
Yeah, this is going to happen again.
It will.
But that's all right, you know what I mean? Again, we're still doing it, so...
Exactly, nothing gets in our way.
We decided we were doing this. A Goofy movie is quite a popular film at the moment, and I certainly really wanted to watch it again, which is half the reason I was like, let's do it.
Yeah, any opportunity.
Aye, anyway, let's go on with the plot, eh? So our movie opens with Max, our lead character, voiced by Jason Marsden. Jason Marsden is famous for being Thackeray Binks, the cat version in the movie Hocus Pocus. He also did a voice in a show that you didn't know existed, which is called The Weekenders. Now, The Weekenders was an animated show that ran for like 4 seasons or something, I think. I loved it. It was class. It was on the Disney Channel. Probably would have been on Dig It and stuff like that on TV. He did the voice of Tito Tonatiti, who was one of the lead character, probably the lead character, this wee guy with like a wee sort of haircut, sort of very reminiscent of the time, blonde lad.
I have no recollection of it whatsoever.
So it's just about these kids living for the weekend, as far as I remember. I've not watched it for a while, but I've dug it out. I'm going to dig it out now and watch it again.
Sounds like a good reason.
Just because I'd forgotten it existed, and I was like, oh, that's what Jason Marsden was in. So the movie starts with Max, and he's in like a field of hay or wheat, Theresa May style.
Yeah, living his best Theresa May life.
What is it? Probably hay?
I think hay.
Aye. Well, anyways, there is Crush Roxanne. Who plays Roxanne?
It's Kelly Martin.
Right, cool. I don't know if she's been in anything else that we know.
No, I don't think
really.
she has.
And she's not really in this either that much, to be fair. It basically, the dream then sort of takes a turn into a nightmare where he turns into his dad and is embarrassed in front of Roxanne.
Yeah, I felt really sorry for Max. Because it was a lovely dream he was having, and then he had that horrible dream of turning into his dad.
It is, but this is the thing, right? I wrote here, right, the horror vibes here are through the roof.
They really are.
Get-go. Because the transformation is like a werewolf-style transformation.
It is.
And it has like humorous noises and stuff throughout. But it is, on the whole, quite horrific.
It is, yeah. It's very dramatic opening. I appreciate it a lot, though. I liked it.
Well, basically, Max ends up waking up if he's dreaming in the morning next to his Mickey Mouse phone. You've seen that?
Yeah, I love the Mickey Mouse phone.
It's got like a Mickey Mouse phone on his bedside. It's not the first nod to various Disney people and things.
No, there's quite a few in this movie, and I liked it.
Totally.
Thought it was good.
Yeah, and Goofy bursts into Max's room. Goofy played by Bill Farmer, who is famous for being goofy.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well,
Bill Farmer, I think, has done a couple of other things, as far as I can gather. But he has been goofy, right, in everything for a long time. So he did all of Goof Troop. He did these. So he's been goofy for ages.
yeah, and he's in those more modern Mickey Mouse animations as well.
Aye, that style. I love that Runaway Railway style. If you don't know what we're talking about, you can Google it. But there's also a Mickey series on Disney Plus that's this new animated style, but it's new classic, is the way I'd put it.
Yeah.
And it's
I
cool.
would agree.
It's cool.
It's really cool. It's dead clean.
Aye, I like it. We watched some of it when we were in Orlando, didn't we?
We did.
Because we had Disney Plus on the telly and stuff.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Aye, it was good. But Goofy bursts into Max's room and he doesn't knock, and he asks Mac if Mac, return of the Mac. He asks Max if he has any laundry. And we'll try to tidy Max's room. Goofy uses the vacuum cleaner to accidentally sort of destroy Max's Powerline cardboard cutout. Now, Powerline is like the big star in this world of a Goofy movie.
Yeah, I can imagine him being like Max's version of Taylor Swift.
Aye. If to put it in modern context, aye. So Goofy kind of like takes it out, and I was like, right, firstly, I was into the towel on Goofy's head.
I also appreciated this. He has a towel on his head and a towel around his body, and I was like, he's treating himself nice.
And I was like, is it normal to have a cardboard cutout of your hero in your bedroom as a teen?
I don't know. I think it's more normal than having a cardboard cutout as an adult. That's for sure.
Well, some people do. Might get one. But no, and to be fair, I had a corn wall in my bedroom.
I'm assuming not sweet corn.
No, it was. No, it wasn't. It was the new metal, heavy metal act Korn.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with Korn in my sort of early to late teens, mad into Korn. And it's like I had a wall that had one of these giant posters that I'd bought from it. I went into town. Used to be a shop on Coburn Street. You could buy posters that size. Bought that and I had that and had loads of ones for magazines and cutouts, and just like the whole wall was basically Korn posters.
So you weren't one of those kids that just went and flicked through the big posters in HMV and were like, you actually bought one. Not at HMV.
Well, wasn't it really? Because HMV wouldn't sell the ones I wanted.
Ah, that's true.
Well, HMV was better then than it is now. But yeah, this shop, we had all the posters of all kinds imported from everywhere. And so I had like big, like when I say big one, I mean one that took up half the wall in the bedroom.
Back
Huge.
when Coburn Street used to actually contain real shops.
It's been gentrified, man.
It has been. And it's
Didn't mean to
also,
sound like a hippie, but it has been.
It's gone very touristy, unfortunately.
It used to be the kind of place you could go, all the weirdos and that could go and hang out, and it's not really like that now.
Oh,
it's
the good old days.
Nice fancy place with bistros and
a Harry Potter shop.
Harry Potter shop.
Always
probably.
Harry Potter shops in Edinburgh.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of Harry Potter shops here.
Anyway, back to Goofy. I love Goofy. I think he's dead wholesome in this. So when he bursts into Max's room asking about if he has any laundry, Max goes, "Oh, well, you just knock." And then Goofy goes back out and knocks and comes back in.
He's like, "I'm sorry."
Oh, it's just too cute.
He just cares for Max so much, and even for in this opening scene, you get that feeling where it's like, why is he so mean to his dad?
I know. know.
But I'm like, we've all been there. We're all been teenagers and stuff.
Yeah.
And, even beyond that.
I think...
been moany with their mums and dads. I certainly feel this way. I feel often that I'm a bit sort of too short with my folks at times, or have been in the past, and I'm trying to stop doing that as I've got older. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's just a continual battle for everybody.
Because your parents always know how to push your buttons.
They do sometimes.
So, do you know what I mean? It's a fact. So
yeah. But I think this film has something for everybody in it.
Yeah.
From that sense, like
well, that's absolutely it. For this word "go" here, this is automatically pulling at my heartstrings as someone who knows a lot of people who have raised kids and been around kids being raised.
Yeah, and also you have been a kid yourself. You can see, like, I think when I first watched this film, I probably would have been more inclined to see things from Max's point of view. But now I'm older, I'm like, oh, Goofy. Like, I just...
Well, you were 4 when this came out, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I was like 9. 8 years old. I was 8. But I watched Goof Troop on TV, but I don't even remember when I got to see this.
No.
It was probably way later.
Yeah.
Most of our generation sort of probably did see it way later. Unless it was on telly or when it came on Disney Channel, probably.
That's probably it.
So Max is running late for school and his dad, Goofy, gives him a brown bag and kisses him on the head. And Max is quite irritated by this. Doesn't really want to be embarrassed on his way to school immediately.
I know, I felt so sorry for everybody involved. Like, Goofy's just trying to be affectionate with his son. Clearly as a single dad, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I've got
That's
your
the other thing,
lunch.
he's a single dad.
Yeah, it's a lot. And especially for 1995, that is quite a modern stance to take. Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. And this is where we get the song After Today.
Yeah, it's the first song in this movie.
First song.
And every time I forget it's a musical. Every single time.
Well, I wrote down here, wait, is this a musical? Like, I know this movie. How did I not ken that?
Yeah, I don't know why I kind of forget every time. So there's a few things that I liked about the song After Today. It really was giving me similar vibes to the musical 13. So a friend of ours produces musicals with kids like as a summer school, and he does it twice a year, so it's not just in the summer. And 13 was one of the ones we went to.
So one about the kids' bar mitzvah?
Yes, that's right. And it was really good. The kids are always really good.
Yeah.
They put in so much effort, and it always shows.
Adam's Family last time.
It was really good. And yeah, the songs really did remind me of that throughout this whole thing, because it's kind of got that teenage angst element to it.
Yep.
And there were so many funny points in this song. Like, I really loved the geeks when they sing this.
40 more minutes of home economics, then down with the textbooks
and up with the comics.
That was me.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't into comics at school.
Nah.
I was, no yet.
Nah, they weren't really...
easy to get here. Kids in the States, comic books galore. Kids here didn't get comics.
Nah, you get your magazines at best.
That's it. So, it was mere doing with the textbook and up with the Star Wars videotapes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or up with the Game Boy Color.
Up with the Game Boy!
Yeah, that was very much my vibes. The bus driver during the song also made me laugh.
He's a big grumpus.
He is a big grumpus, and he basically just says he can't wait to sit on his bum.
Yeah.
Even though he's a bus driver. And I was like, oh my God, that's the adult I have turned into. Like sitting at my desk at work and then be like, I can't wait to sit down.
It can't be easy being a bus driver for a school.
Oh, it must be so difficult.
That's it.
It must be, like, I think doing any sort of driving as a job puts so much pressure on your body.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot of concentration and that, and, you know.
Yeah.
You see it when you're doing an airport transfer and they're like, God, this guy must be in here all day, every day.
Yeah, especially when we're there first thing in the morning. And you see them all gathered having their wee chats.
So Max gets to school, and I'll tell you what, right? I was like, see when he sees Peach, I was like, that's me. I'm a wee anxious Nelly like Peach.
You're a bit like Peach, yeah.
I know I want to become more of a sort of cool dude like the Cheddar Wizard, but we'll get there in a sec. Right, that's the vibe I'm going for and largely achieve. But a lot of the time I do feel like I'm a bit Peach.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But I not only is it at school, but it's the last day of school before the summer vacay.
Yeah.
Because I later on said to you when they're going on the road trip, is Goofy just taking Max out of school?
You hadn't quite clicked
just
it. Summer vacation.
It was the last day of school because I was too busy taking notes about other stuff, I think.
I really miss that excitement of like the last day of school. Like you just don't get that as an adult.
I still get that. I used to still get it when I worked at a certain university I worked at. And it was that last day of the exams and they had the big party in the square.
Oh, that makes sense,
It was
actually.
great. I used to go for beers after work every time. It was great.
Especially the sun was always quite kind for those days.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It
never really got rained off in math unless it did. I think it did a couple of years later.
I think it did a couple of times, but not often.
But that whole idea, Ken.
I know. I certainly, for my
We
job.
live right near a school. We live really close to a sort of primary school
We
here.
do.
And so on the last day before summer,
Especially what they started doing is they pipe the primary sevens out. Like, so
yeah,
you get
they get a piper.
bagpiper.
That's a
and,
totally normal thing here in Scotland. We often get someone playing the bagpipes to celebrate an occasion.
Yeah.
It's become more of a thing, I think.
It has become more of a thing. It certainly wasn't a thing when we were in school.
I never got piped to at school. I think I was there on the last day.
They were just like, right back, kick you out the door.
I know. Didn't last to the last day. Well, I did at primary school.
I was going to say, goodness. Yeah, our last day before the school holidays in summer, we always used to have a games day where people would bring in their board games and stuff. Oh, I loved it. You know, I love a good board game.
Games.
But it always used to be so exciting to bring in stuff to play with in school. And also, Edinburgh absolutely ruins people's working ethics by having half days on a Friday when you're in school.
Yep.
So
but some schools do it on a Wednesday too.
I think that's less of a thing now, but yeah, they used to do it on a Wednesday.
I met a guy from another school once and he's like, oh, we've got a half day on a Wednesday. And I was like, what? And I was a kid, I couldn't believe it.
It's crazy, but honestly, it's ruined Friday afternoons for me from now on because I have to work them now.
Yeah.
And I still think, ugh, this is awful.
Why am I working? It's Friday afternoon. You do start to kind of wind down though normally, although somebody often puts meetings in your diary at like half 4. So on the last day of school, Max shows up at the top of the bleachers and he trips and falls.
Oh.
And Roxanne is standing there and she's like, what, I need you? No, really, she doesn't do that. I'm just joking. He gets embarrassed and like he involuntarily kind of yucks quite hard.
He does, and bless him. Like, she's so lovely as well. She just tries to help him up.
Yeah.
She seems really sweet.
Like, he runs away from her. He's like, no.
He does run away from
her. And I didn't really blame him. He gets very embarrassed because of the yuck.
Yeah.
Yuck. I cannot do the goofy yuck. I can't do it.
Very few can.
Right. Bill Farmer can, but I can't.
And that's why he's done it for so long.
That's true. But it's a whole face thing. It's like when you It's like when you snort.
It is.
That's what he just did essentially, is snorted in front of the girl he likes.
Yeah, what a shame, poor Max.
So Max and his best friends PJ and Bobby Zimmerowski.
Yes, so he's the Cheddar Wizard.
The Cheddar Wizard. His name's Bobby.
His name's Bobby, yeah.
Right, I didn't know, because there's that one point where he referred to himself as the Cheddar Wizard, and then that was it.
Yeah. So
Didn't he? He's telling me, didn't he call himself the Cheddar Wizard?
So we had a bit of a debate about this. And I think he says Cheddar Whiz.
Well,
I think
I can tell you he did, because we then went on to Disney Plus and put the subs on.
We did.
To find out what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And he said Cheddar Whiz. But it sounded like Wizard.
And it sounded like this.
Cheddar! Ow! Cheddar Wizard! Yeah, it sounded a bit like that.
He's very keen on Cheddar Whiz.
He loves Cheddar Whiz, and I thought it was a bit ambiguous. So, anyway, I referred to him as the Cheddar Wizard for the rest of the movie, and that's it. So,
Bobby's got some classic lines, so...
including shouting Cheddar Wizard.
Including shouting Cheddar Wizard. He also says...
Slurpage.
He's got a very cool vibe.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because Max and PJ head into school and they're going to see this AV guy.
Yeah.
And that AV guy is Bobby.
Yeah.
So they're obviously prepping some stuff for something they've got planned.
Yeah, some sort of master plan of Max's.
I have to say, I also enjoyed the way the characters were designed and the way they were dressed is so 90s. But it's proper 90s teen clothes as well. They paid a lot of the detail to it, paid a lot of attention to this.
Yeah, they did. So their plan is to hijack the auditorium stage in the middle of Principal Mazer. I think it's Mazer. I'm going to go with Mazer.
I think it's Mazer.
Principal Mazer's speech. Principal Mazer is played by Wallace Shawn. Wallace Shawn is a very famous voice in movies and TV shows and a lot of other things, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He's been in lots of things. So he is Rex in Toy Story.
Yeah, he's Rex in Toy Story. He's probably like the most famous one you'd know him from.
Yeah, but he's also in The Princess Bride.
He's in Clueless, I think, as well.
He was in Clueless, yeah.
Aye. So Wallace Shawn plays the principal and he's got that sort of tone.
He's got a really distinctive voice.
Aye. Basically, they hijack the thing by creating essentially a sort of concert type performance where Max performs well costumed as the popular singer Powerline.
Yeah, so I think Max unintentionally invents the lip sync.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Lip sync.
It's like before RuPaul made
For Your
it
Life.
super popular.
That's right.
Yeah, that he's lip syncing to Powerline.
And he's lip syncing away. And my thought here was, right, did Peach and Bobby, I guess, the Cheddar Wizard, not try and talk him out of this?
It seems to me that Max is very strong-willed.
Yeah, but I'd be like, dude, you're going to make a bit of a goofy yourself here.
I think
That's probably a terrible word to use here.
Yeah.
You're basically going to make a bit of a dafty yourself. And we're worried you're going to feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying, though? Like, see if somebody did that back at MGS, right?
Oh, yeah.
I would be like, no, mate, you're going to get ripped for the rest of your school life.
Yeah, people are not going to forget this.
And college or university.
Yeah, working career, totally. That would also surface on YouTube these days. Like, it would live on forever.
I feel like this is getting a bit out of hand.
Yeah.
Probably not that bad, but still, you would get ripped for it.
Yeah. But thankfully, his pals also seem to be on board because Bobby helps him out with his performance by using a fire extinguisher and saying,
Genius move, by the way.
"A little smokage.
It's just Cheddar Wizard all over.
Yeah.
Cheddar Wizard, can I say that now? Is my spirit animal. Is that a thing?
It is a thing.
Still, or is that very 2015?
Might be, but we can bring it back. It's all good.
He is, though. And he is an animal. Like, are they all dogs? Okay, I'm going to say this already. They're all dogs, eh?
Yeah, I think so.
Just, it doesn't matter what kind of dog, they're all dogs.
Yeah.
But there's a cat at one point.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to pin.
Do you want to keep going into this?
Mm.
There's also a Bigfoot that's a dog. I like him what?
Yeah, there's too many animals.
Too many questions.
Yeah.
Raised by a Goofy movie.
It's a PhD thesis in itself.
So Goofy works as a photographer at like it seems like a department store or like a mall or like
yeah, it definitely has that sort of vibe.
Like Max Spielman at Asda kind of thing.
Yeah.
Aye, right. And he's with his colleague Pete. And Pete tells Goofy how he is taking his son Peach, Max's pal Peach, on a camping trip as a way of bonding with him.
Yeah, I think that's quite a sweet idea. It clearly sparks something off in Goofy.
It does. But can we discuss Pete's methods whilst working at this point?
Yeah, they've got very different styles.
So Goofy is really getting the little girl, he's like getting the little girl to laugh, and he's like, so he can get her the reactions he needs to get the photos he needs.
Yeah.
And then Pete's like, well, basically gets fed up with her trying to run away and then sticks her down by the diaper.
Yeah, he puts Velcro on her bum.
Puts Velcro on her diaper and then sticks her down so she can't move so that he can get the photo. And I'm like, you know what? Just if you want to hammer home right away that these two people are very different, then you've done it.
Yeah.
We all know that Pete and Goofy are very different. It's the whole thing.
That's it.
They don't dislike each other, but they kind of do at the same time. And one always thinks they're better than the other, and one always strives to be like the other, or strives to, at least ingratiate with the other, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, it's that, and it's basically right for the get-go. We're seeing it here.
Yeah, I think this is it. And Goofy always has that ability to turn a disadvantage into an advantage that I always enjoy.
Yeah.
So, like, he ends up making the child laugh, and I really like it.
Also, the little girl cries, or a baby cries at this scene.
She does.
And it sounds an awful lot like what?
Well, my notes here are a bit wrong.
All right.
So I got a bit confused, and the long story short is that the little girl crying sounds like Tommy out of the Rugrats.
Tommy Pickles.
Tommy Pickles, yes, but that's not what I've written down.
What did you write then?
I've written. Oh God, it's getting worse. I've written down that it's Tommy Spinster.
Tommy Spinster.
Yep, could not remember his surname for the life of me.
Tommy Spinster.
Yeah, so clearly getting confused between Chucky Finster and
yeah,
Tommy
it was Chucky
Pickles.
Finster that threw you in Chucky Spinster. Tommy Spinster.
All the spinsters. So yeah, basically don't have me for your pub quiz.
Well, you might not be surprised to know that it is.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's E.G. Daly, who is the lady that did Tommy's voice.
Wow, okay. I feel proud that we even caught that, even if I got the names all wrong.
It was so obvious for someone around at the time.
Mm-hmm.
This was 95. The Rugrats was probably still on.
Yeah, it would kind of be getting its peak.
So, it makes total sense. And you hear it. You know Tommy's cry if you've seen enough of the Rugrats, which we have.
We have, and we've played the games.
Many people our age have as well. So the wee performance succeeds in making Max a school celebrity, as we've said there, and his love interest Roxanne notices, obviously she sees it too, but he and PJ and Bobby are sent to Principal Mazur's office.
Yeah. These things come with a consequence.
Yeah. While waiting for Mazer to come out, Roxanne arrives and speaks with Max and agrees to go with him to a party at Stacey's, where the Powerline concert will be aired live on TV.
So yeah, Powerline's clearly a big deal.
Big pay-per-view concert for Powerline, going to be on TV clearly, and everybody's going to be watching this thing.
Yeah, and Stacey is here, and she's clearly Roxanne's best friend, and she seems really nice, and they seem to support each other. It's quite nice to see. Yeah, like I think in a lot of things at the time, sometimes girls were pitted against each other.
Aye.
Like, particularly when it came to, like, you know, getting boys' attentions, etc.
Yeah.
But actually, it's nice to see the two of them supporting each other. Or certainly Stacey is supporting Roxanne.
Yeah, and I think it's this whole thing. See, when he talks to Roxanne, it's like, oh, didn't I miss this?
I know.
Talking to girls at school and trying to play it cool or just knowing what you're supposed to do, when in reality, all you had to do was actually just talk.
Yeah, you can be a normal.
But you didn't realise that at the time. You're like, oh, God. You know what I mean?
You've got to think through and plan everything.
And it's like, there's this bit here too where he goes, he's sort of like, when she's like, I'll speak to you later, he goes, I'll call you later. And it's like, he's trying to be all cool, and I'm like, oh,
mate.
Max, I've seen this in the concert. Did he come to school in Scotland, all right? Just don't.
Nah, it's not going to go well.
It's not going to go well for you, lad.
At this point, I've written down that Maxine, why do I keep calling her Maxine? What is wrong with me? I did it all the way through the movie as well when we were watching it. Anyway, Roxanne has got lovely hair. They have drawn her hair beautifully. I want hair like that. Also, we get another classic Bobby line here.
Max, look, it's the Leaning Tower of Jesus. Huh.
And I get the impression that Bobby is no stranger to the principal's office.
Oh, Bobby's probably there all the time. He doesn't care.
Exactly.
Although I do like it that he's helping him with the AV equipment, and it suggests to me that Bobby's the AV guy, but AV guys are often the dorks at school.
Yeah.
In these sort of stereotypical American schools.
Yeah.
But not in this school.
Not in this one. Bobby seems to be a pretty cool dude.
He is cool. Yeah, and Mazer calls Goofy and forewarns him that Max's actions might result in facing potential juvenile delinquency and
Our favourite,
the electric chair, apparently.
I know, he goes extreme.
So what he actually says, right, is...
If I were you, Mr. Goof, I'd seriously reevaluate the way you're raising your child before he ends up in the electric chair.
It's a bit much, man. It's a
Yeah.
bit full on. And he also gets really kind of... he's kind of really slamming about Max here. And the way that Raisy's goofing him, the way that Goofy is raising him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, see if that was my kid and the teacher spoke to me like that, they wouldn't get to live to speak to another parent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's really inappropriate.
That's so
Super
inappropriate. No way.
Can we also talk about the fact that he refers to him as Mr. Goof?
Yeah, Mr. Goof, yeah.
As if Goof is Goofy's surname.
Yeah, I mean, his name's quite obviously Goofy.
Yeah, but...
Maybe his name is Goofy Goof.
Maybe his name is Goofy Goof, or maybe Goofy is like a nickname.
Yeah, maybe, aye.
You know, like Chappie Chapman.
Aye, of course.
Another mention for Chappie on the podcast. Goodness.
But that's the other thing, too. This is all blown out of proportion, and I feel that is something that cartoons do. And you're like, so, you know, the cartoons do that and make it so over the top so that, you know, kids can understand what's going on? Or is it just because it's fun?
I think it's maybe a little bit of both. You've got people engaged in the story and having somebody be very dramatic. That hyperbole is engaging.
And at this point too, the little girl that Pete has stuck down to the counter escapes from her diaper and runs up the
That's
runs
right.
up the shop streaking with a wee boy out.
Honestly, she's on the loose.
So I just did, like, Max is leaving school, right? And I think this is really odd, and we both noticed this. He's leaving school, and this one of the other kids just comes over and he's like, kid just comes over and says, "Cool concert, lad." And I was like, wait, what's going on? Now, firstly, Matt's reaction is correct because he's like, what?
Yeah.
And then also, it's like, the concert?
Yeah, I think calling it a concert's a
And
bit
also,
far.
I didn't think lad was a thing across in the States.
No, it seems like it's a very British thing, is lad.
Come on, I mean.
Yeah, and also that the person who says lad is apparently dressed like Rum Tum Tugger from Cats.
Yeah.
He has like this fur ruff on what looks like a leather jacket.
Well, this is the thing here too. There's a character in the background here that is basically just Paige, but looks slightly different and is a bit taller. And then there's another one that looks just like Max. So I think that, I guess they're trying to get this. They're tried to make a variety, but similar styles, because that's what kids do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? To make them look the same but slightly different.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it was just easier. And then here we have everybody chanting Max's name.
Yeah, who
Now,
doesn't want to leave school like that?
I don't think this has ever happened in the reality of the whole universe. Has someone had everyone chant their name at school?
No, I don't think it's happened on any occasion ever.
Nah.
I just can't see it, apart from like maybe at a concert, like if... But even then, I have never experienced it.
No, not yet. Well, I'm not going to now, really, am I? I'm 37.
Oh, well,
I'm
that's
way
not
past school.
Well, no, I don't even mean just in school. I just mean in life in general. Like, I've never been in a situation where we all started to chant in somebody's name.
We're going to make it happen.
Yeah, maybe you and me can do it while we're watching Bake Off tonight. We'll just pick a
chant
random baker.
somebody's name, Mary, because we're still watching the old Bake Off episodes with Mary.
Mary Berry.
Mary Berry's there.
Oh, she's such a sweetheart.
She's class. She kens her bacon. She kens her stuff.
She really does.
And she's also much nicer because Paul Hollywood, by the way, softens up considerably as the seasons have gone on. Because back then he was quite brusque, rude, and just to be honest, a bit smarmy, and I didn't like him.
Yeah, he's a bit mean.
Yeah, I think he's that mean now, is he?
He seems nicer now.
Maybe. I can't remember.
The standard is also much higher.
You say that, it's just that they're now baking more elaborate baked goods now.
Yeah.
And the inflation has to stop, because eventually it's not really going to be. It's just going to be like Bake Off for Professionals, and Bake Off for Professionals will get ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we can't really keep doing this.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, we cannot.
So Bake Off rant.
There you go. Just
I think it's called the Great British Baking Show in the US.
It is.
And it's called the Great British Bake Off here.
Mm-hmm.
Funny that, eh?
Yeah, GBO.
They're not really different. I don't think.
No.
Maybe a Bake Off isn't a thing across there.
To be fair, it wasn't a thing here until they started it.
Oh, aye, and then this is where we get the song Stand Out.
I love this song. So I enjoyed this montage you get of his journey home to this song.
Yeah.
How?
Well, all I can think of is the baby. Right? There's a baby straight up about to never do this, ever. About to stick a fork in a socket.
I couldn't believe this when
Max
I saw
goes
it.
flying through someone's house.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason.
He's just on a high. He's on a total high.
He grabs this baby and moves the baby with the fork away from the plug.
Yeah, goodness what would have happened if Max wasn't there.
It's brutal. I was just
It's
like,
crazy.
Can't I believe that would never be in a movie now.
Oh, never ever.
Never in a million years.
No way.
I mean, even cut Lilo and Stitch. In the Lilo and Stitch original cut, Lilo jumps into a washing machine
That's right.
and hides in it. But they were like, oh, that's a bad idea. We can't do that. So actually now it's just an empty cupboard and she pulls up a pizza box lid.
Oh, that's right.
Which is what they've changed it to on Disney Plus. But
I'm surprised this one's still flying. Clearly nobody's looking at Goofy movie too closely. There's also a point where Max goes past some little grannies when he's lip syncing away, and it's just they were like, oh, they got shocked by his, like, a little fright from his dancing and singing, and I was like, oh man, these days it's just so common. Like, if somebody went past it, they'd be like, oh, they're doing a TikTok, or
being up to during the Fringe, we were like, ah, cool.
Exactly. Maybe it's an Edinburgh thing where you're just like,
There was one year, the first year I saw this, because I've seen it before. Again, I can't believe I can say that, but I was in town and I saw a straight up predator chasing an alien around the Royal Mile, and I was like, oh, cool, Fringe. And then, like, I've seen it since. The same two guys. I don't know, they come every year.
This is it. It's just nothing shocks in Edinburgh, particularly in August. But other times of year, like, sure, whatever.
You're totally correct at this time, at this day and age now.
Yeah.
Folk are doing TikTok dances and all sorts of raj nonsense.
Yeah.
So.
It's just wouldn't shock me if somebody started dancing on the street these days. I'm like, ah, cool, whatever.
Mm.
So Goofy has decided to take his son on a fishing trip to Lake Destiny, Idaho.
Lake Destiny?
Yeah, which looks lovely. And this is going to be following a map route that he and his father took years ago. So he's obviously trying to capture that nice time he had with his dad as well. Goofy is packing up the car, getting ready to go when Max comes home. And Max then turns around to him and says the most teenager thing ever.
Well, have a good time, Dad. If you're going to be gone more than a month, drop me a line.
As if Goofy's just going to leave you alone all summer.
For a month, and you're also like, cool, well, I'll no miss you, bye.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically.
No.
Bye, Dad.
They've clearly got very different plans for the summer. And it's just so funny that Max thinks, like, his whole world is from school and just about being a teenager. Like, he's not thinking about going on this amazing adventure with his dad.
It's that whole thing, where it's like, it's the fact that it comes crushing down on him.
It does.
When Goofy's like, we're going to go to Idaho.
Yeah. And also, it's not a short journey either. It's not like they're going to be away for a couple of days. They're going to be gone
you're going
for
on a road
weeks.
trip with your dad to Idaho, and we're going to be camping along the way because Pete's gone camping, so are we, right?
Basically, yeah. So, yeah, Max is really distraught because it's going to be several weeks, and this would obviously mean he was going to miss the party with Roxanne and the viewing of the Powerline concert.
At Stacey's house.
At Stacey's house, yeah. So he's quite distressed by that. At this point, Goofy also gives Max a fishing pole.
Oh, also, by the way, around this time, Max drops my boy's name, Donald Duck.
Does he? I
He does.
totally
He
missed
mentions
that.
Donald because I think he's more like, oh, why can you not go on a trip with Donald? Or like he says something like that.
Oh, I love that name drop.
Aye. And I was like, yeah, Donald. I love Donald.
So Max says something really funny here about the fishing pole.
It's been handed down from goof to goof to goof. And now it's yours, son.
A stick.
No, silly. A fishing pole.
Like, the disdain.
A stick. Well, I actually had like, if you're so into fishing, how does your own laddie not know what a fishing pole is?
That's true, yeah. He's
Or a
clearly
fishing
not shared
stick.
that passion. Fishing stick.
Aye.
He's clearly not shared that passion with Max. Although you do wonder how much he's actually tried, but Max just been like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I get the distinct feeling that's probably the case.
Yeah, I think Max is a bit of a bum. Although Goofy guilt trips him into going on this trip.
Yeah.
And he gives him the real hard guilt trip, and it is brutal.
What do you mean, like it's brutal that he has to go to that? Go to those extremes, or brutal that he just makes him feel that guilty?
Yeah, like I felt guilty. I was sitting there going, oh God, I'll go.
I would have went anyway. This trip sounds totally boss.
It does sound pretty good.
I'd be well up for this trip. Going fishing, camping, and going to Raj museums all over the country.
Yeah, maybe catch more than a tiddler this time.
Right, well, you know what? Right? At least I caught something my first time. First time I'd casted.
Yeah.
Right, ever.
Your cast
And
was
this is
very
like
good.
a month ago.
Yeah.
My buddy Bob took me out. He showed me how to cast. I did it one time and he was like, that's class, well done. I was like, I think there's something here. And he's like, come on, pull it in. Pulled it in. Jaws.
So it was.
It was playing a cello and everything when it came out. It was gigantic. It was rather small, but hey, listen, I caught it and you know.
Exactly. You caught a toddler.
I wrote toddler. Right, okay, so I text Kat and I said, Kat, I've caught a tiddler. But I accidentally wrote toddler, and the cat was a bit alarmed when she read it.
Yeah, I was working, and it was an odd message to get to be like, oh, I've caught a toddler.
I know. I hadn't caught a toddler, I'd caught a tiddler.
And the good job on your first try. However, just to go back to the movie, what we're here to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
The guilt trip, Max responds in the best way ever, where he says, like, the most teenage thing ever, why are you doing this?
Why are you doing this to me, Dad?
Yeah.
Like he's punishing him.
That's
By
it.
making him go on this trip, which is an amazing opportunity, which you didn't see as a kid, probably.
You don't see it as a teenager, do you?
Well, I'm now, like, 37-year-old me's going, this trip sounds amazing. Yeah.
And as people who aren't parents, it must be really difficult when you're wanting to share that experience with a teenager who is just not interested. But it is good for them, so it's a difficult spot to be in. So what they agreed to do is before they leave and Goofy crashes into his own fence.
He does. And he's also like, bye, house. And it's like, he's saying bye to everything on the way away. And I was like, that's the kind of thing we do.
It is, but
When we
also...
come home for a holiday, it's like, hiya, house.
Yeah. When he's leaving, though, he says, like, after he's crashed into his fence, he goes, bye, pile of wood.
It does. Oh, I love how you made him sound like a redneck as well.
Oh, I tried my best.
Bye, pile of wood. Pile of wood.
It's a pile of wood.
It's hard to do.
It's very hard. Very hard. Max asks if they can stop by Roxanne's house to call off their date.
At this point in my notes, I just had, I want a Maxibon.
Oh, I do love a Maxibon. Yeah,
I was
totally
like,
on board.
I guess because he kept saying Max, and I was like, Maxibon. That's what I want.
Max?
A Maxibon was like so it was like an ice cream cookie sandwich on one side, and the other side, the ice cream sort of extended beyond the sandwich, but was covered in chocolate.
Oh, they are delicious.
Oh, they were so good, and now you didn't really get them, but Aldi do a version.
Yeah,
So
they
it's pretty
do.
good.
And also, I think they're a huge thing, like when you go on holiday, they tend to be more like a sort of Spanish or Greek
They're
or
so good, man.
thing. So Max is going to say to Roxanne that he has no choice but to cancel because he's going on a camping trip with his dad. So when he gets to Roxanne's house, he knocks on the door and Roxanne's dad is terrifying.
Yeah, he's like Lurch, but less kind.
Yeah, he's a big old dog man.
Big old scary dog man.
Yeah, and I really felt for Max at that point. But Roxanne sneaks out past her dad and's like, fine, it's fine. and Max is talking to her. And Roxanne says that due to Max pulling out, she'll have no choice but to go to the party with somebody else.
Yeah, it's kind of like, that's so childish.
It
But they are
is.
kids. But I'm just like, don't be such a little weenie.
Yeah, like...
Like, he's going to go on a trip with his dad. If you actually like him and you think he's nice and that, then you're not going to be like, oh, fine, I'll just go to somebody else. But the fact is you would, because she's a teenager child.
Yeah, and also I think she thinks that he's given her the brush off. That he's like, actually, nah, I've changed my mind. Especially with it being in such quick succession. Also, it seems to be a very stereotyped American thing that I don't know if it's the case. And please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But certainly a lot of American sitcoms, it seems like a lot of parties, you have to have a date to
Is
go
that right?
to.
I'd just be rocking up like...
Yeah, that was always my vibe when I went to parties as a team. Was
I did
just-
not go to parties as a
Well,
teen.
yeah, me neither.
I was very much a recluse.
That doesn't shock me.
Yeah, I was sort of because I was just reading a book about this, and a character's described as being a hikokomori,
Oh.
which is a term and a word which has been invented in Japan to describe people that don't really go out that much and would rather stay indoors and not go out and see stuff, and would rather sit and play games or read books, which is very much me.
Yeah.
I found my stride in my late teens where I started to enjoy going out for long walks, and that's never wore off all these years later. But at that point in my life, when I was probably about Max's age, Final Fantasy X was out, I was playing through it for the third time probably. Just like, I mean, I just played through 7 to 9 like crazy, and then 10 came out on the PS2 and I was like, what?
Yeah, the jumping graphics.
It was crazy. So like, I was playing that. I wasn't interested. Going to parties, no parties for me.
At this point, Max tells a little lie. He says that his dad knows Powerline and that he is going to the concert and that he is going to be on stage with Powerline and will wave to Roxanne in the last song.
It's super awkward to watch.
It is.
Just like, mate, that's not true.
Yeah, it's not great. Like, it's just a stupid teenage lie.
Yeah. You've seen it before, man, in stories like this. The kid is trying to impress and therefore lies, and you're like, dear.
Yeah, not going to be good. And also, I don't know how that would stop her from going with somebody else.
Nah.
Anyway, after this, Roxanne seems quite content and gives Max a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah, gives her a wee peck on the cheek. I still feel like that when you give me a wee peck on the cheek.
There we go. That's why
Max
we
is
stay
absolutely
married.
buzzing. He's
Yeah, he's on cloud nine.
but then
like.
he's not really thinking the long game here, which is, dude, you've got to figure all this out now.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
absolutely. How are you going to get yourself out of this pickle?
Yep. But that's a problem for later on, Max.
Yep, that sounds like a future Max problem. So Goofy has planned this trip mainly against Max's wishes, and it doesn't really start off very well. Goofy tries to use his camcorder on Max and just captures Max looking quite bored, sadly. So what he does is he pulls out a list of things that he did on this trip with his dad, like try to play some games, trying to have a look at different things, and
We're talking like 20 questions.
yeah, stuff like that, stuff like car journey classics.
And they're like playing 20 questions, and he's like, Walt Disney. And he's like, oh, that's right.
It's always Walt Disney, apparently.
Aye, totally.
In the end, he decides to turn on a cassette. Very high tech for the 90s.
Yep.
Don't know if the kids these days don't know what a
We
cassette
talked about
was.
tapes when we did Coyote Ugly. I was using tapes at that age.
Yeah, us
At
too.
Max's age, which would have been me like 5 years later, still
Mm-hmm.
using tapes. Do you know what I mean? Because they didn't skip, man. It was class.
Yeah,
I used to enjoy just making mixtapes too. I'm still like that now, making playlists on Spotify.
sharing them with your pals.
I
It's
would
one of
do
your
that
highlights
now.
of the
We've got a
month.
monthly playlist, and me and two buds are sharing them.
Yeah,
It's cool.
it's a nice
It's a
thing.
good way to find out new music, and I do.
And Max is not pleased with the cassette he puts on though,
Nah, he's not really in it.
because he sings a wonderful version of High Hopes.
He's got high hopes. He's got high apple pie in the sky hopes.
Very good.
They're singing high hopes, and I was like, listen, I think I know what you mean here. The only one in this whole sort of goofy world, if you will, right, who has high hopes is the Cheddar Wizard.
He
If you
has
know what I
very
mean.
high hopes. Yeah.
If you know what I mean, and I think you do.
Yes. Very much so.
As Joe Bob Briggs would say.
Yes, I love Joe Bob Briggs. So Goofy and Max getting a bit of a tussle over the control of the radio and cassette player, where Max keeps putting on some heavy metal.
And he's like, just soloing, playing air guitar away. That's what I was just doing there. Check it out. It's a good day.
It was really good. Wow. And at this point in my notes, I put Max is Mikey.
Oh.
So
Oh, no way, you did not.
I did. So there you go. That's you.
Actually, I used to take CDs into my mum's car all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always like metal. It was like Rammstein and that at the time.
Uh-huh.
And like Korn, obviously. And then like Slipknot at the time were a big thing. And then didn't get into death metal a bit till later. So like, and mum would never really have stood for that probably. But I used to like put stuff in, and I like a lot of 80s stuff, so I got mum right into Ozzy Osbourne
Okay.
when I was a kid. She loves Ozzy now. She still loves Ozzy. And it's like, so I used to put stuff like that on, and she kind of liked it, and 80s stuff like Motley Crue and that.
Nice.
But like, there must have been times it was well annoying. So, mum, if you're listening, I'm sorry, all right?
I wouldn't know.
I'm sorry for hijacking your CD in your car.
I'm sure she appreciates that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what that feels like.
Hey, I try and put on music for you when we're in the car.
Mm-hmm.
I always like, right, cool, what's Kat been listening to? What have I heard Kat listen to this week?
Well,
And it's normally the Spyro the Dragon soundtrack.
that's when I'm working.
True.
It's perfect
But
to
I
work
hear you
to.
listening to it every day.
Yeah, because I'm always working.
Yeah. Oh, you're always working. It's so boring.
It is. Honestly, this Monday to Friday thing. Ugh. So yes, they're having this tussle around the radio and cassette player, and unfortunately it breaks the cassette.
Yeah,
All
because the
the
two of them are
tape
so
was spewing out.
stubborn. They're both just like each other, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It's that whole stereotype as well. Oh, they're so alike.
Yeah, it is quite funny when you see them side by side. At this point, we then get the song On the Open Road.
Oh, man, I love this song.
It's such a good song.
On the open road.
I found myself humming it and whistling it a
Yeah,
lot.
I sing it all the time.
It's dead catchy. It's got a really good hook. We also get a little cameo here from two of Disney's biggest stars,
Mm-hmm.
Mickey and Donald.
You do. You get Mickey and Donald just at the side of the road. And Mickey sings a part of the song.
He does sing part of the song. It's
Just
lovely.
like a line in the song.
There's quite a few unusual looking characters that take part in this song.
Yeah, I've got a couple listed also.
Yeah. There's a nun with some beautiful filler on her lips.
Yeah, lip filler mum is what I wrote.
Mum!
Oh, no, wait. It was a nun. Sorry, I didn't write mum. I wrote, what am I talking about? Sorry, I wrote lip filler nun dog is what I wrote.
Right, well, I think we
Lip filler
should...
nun dog. Lip filler nun dog. See?
Mm-hmm.
I can see you nodding there. You were getting into that.
I was getting into that. I take it we've decided they're all dogs then.
Oh, yeah, aye, they're dogs.
Okay. There is a lady here. So this adds to the controversy. There's a lady in this song who has cats.
But she's a dog. But dogs and cats get on, but no when they're like anthropomorphic dogs with pet cats.
Well, this is it. So I've actually written, this lady has cats, so can they be dogs? Question mark.
Yeah, like what happens when they go to feed the ducks? Are they feeding the ducks? Like little ducklets?
Why?
Duck dogs.
Duck dogs. Okay, so we've... Oh, this universe
But
is
that
getting
doesn't
more
work
confused.
because this is a cat, so there isn't there. No, everything's a dog.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is blowing my mind.
Yeah. Let's just draw a line on it before we get any more
Okay.
confused.
Right.
Um.
They are all dogs, right?
Yes.
End of story. And there's some
Sorted.
animals too, right?
Yeah.
Like a cat.
Okay.
And possibly ducks.
And clearly ducks if Donald's around. But anyway,
Oh, aye, Donald's around, no? And Mickey is too. Oh, let's stop this.
let's go. Yeah, the rabbit hole's too deep for us to tumble into. There's a few others. Do you want to go into yours?
Aye, so there's a prisoner.
Yes.
And I just loved it that he's like he sees the prisoner, and then in the back of the prison van he turns around and sees Max, and Max is like in shackles and that as well
Yeah.
because he's worried about him obviously getting the electric chair.
The principal's words are clearly ringing in his ear.
And there's also a big mama, is what I wrote. Big mama that's bigger than the car.
Oh, yeah, she was
She's
big.
bigger than the car.
She had a brutal haircut.
Look for their nun dog, as discussed. And there's also a zombie in a funeral car.
There is a zombie in a funeral car, yep. And clearly somebody who has been kidnapped.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's like people who look like gangsters, and there's a guy who's like bound in the back of the boot of the car.
My Lord.
Singing. I know, it's a wild scene.
I'm like, what in the Sam Hill's going on here? Also, the zombie starts dancing on the top of the...
Yeah.
There's a wee dancey number.
There is a dance bit.
But it is really fun.
It's super fun.
The song is like one that everybody that knows this movie knows.
Yeah. And as I say, very catchy. So Goofy and Max continue their journey, and it seems to be drawing towards nighttime. And they stop in at Leicester's Possum Park.
Yep.
Or as you referred to it in your notes as?
Well, I didn't catch the name, so I just called it Possum Paradise.
Possum Paradise. To be fair, both sound entirely unappealing.
I don't know, like, I when they stopped here, I was like, this trip is for me, like, I'd love seeing all this, like, did you ever see the big whale thing?
What big whale thing?
There was a big whale somewhere. Or was it a dinosaur? There was a big, like, so it was like a structure, and there was this big whale, and you could, like, walk through it, but there was nothing else about it. It was like it had been ditched. Maybe it was just as one of these one-off freak things that we saw one time.
Yeah, where was this?
I don't know. I was a child.
Oh, no, I
It
don't...
felt like we were driving for a while, because Dad used to take us drives all the time.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this big, it was like a whale or a dinosaur, or maybe it was a Nessie, maybe because we were up there.
Oh, maybe.
But you could walk in and it was like you were inside it. It was wild, man. Big pure whale thing. Maybe it was a whale, maybe it was a dinosaur. maybe I should ask my dad, and he's going to go, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, to be fair, I agree with your dad at this point.
Yeah, well, I remember there being a big giant thing you could walk through. I can't remember where it was.
Oh, well.
I honestly remember it as it's very clear. One of these, like, it's so clear that I can't tell if it's a whale or a dinosaur. But,
or where it is.
Or where it is. No. But anyway, the big possum looks like that.
Yeah.
The big possum mouth that they walk into.
There's a big possum mouth they go in.
Paradise.
And when they try and enter, there's a child screaming not to go in.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, there's a kid that's like, no.
That's funny.
Don't want to go. The main attraction at Leicester's Possum Park seems to be an animatronic possum show.
Yeah, it's very Five Nights at Freddy's, this.
It is.
Is this what Chuck E. Cheese is?
I think so. Yeah.
Because it's like, people talk about Chuck E. Cheese, I'm like, is that like Five Nights at Freddy's /
I think so.
Possum Paradise or Leicester's Possum Park or whatever it's called?
Yeah, Leicester's Possum Park. LPP for short.
LPP.
I think also Chuck E. Cheese sometimes has somebody who actually dresses up as Chuck E. Cheese.
Right. Okay.
I think.
Kind of like here then, because there's a guy that dresses up as Lester.
Yes, I think this is it. So the animatronic show, I've got real problems with because I don't like animatronics.
Well, I mean, no, you were alright at Disneyland, at Disney
okay.
World, and at Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure, etc.
Yeah, I was okay with that. But one of the possums has nails for fingers.
Oh,
in
yeah,
Leicester's
that's pretty
Possum
grim.
Park, and it gave me the total heebs.
The whole idea is like, this is run down.
Yeah, it's pretty ramshackle. At this point, they start singing Leicester's Possum Park song.
And it's like a little country ditty.
It is. It's got like very country vibes, and I'd quite liked it. It was good. There's also a really intense child at this point that has quite a lot of missing teeth, and they show Max getting quite overwhelmed with all the different sounds that are happening. Like there's children screaming, there's music playing, there's like instruments being played.
I was like, that's me.
I've written down.
I feel like that too at times.
Yeah, I get that as well, especially when there's a lot of noise. I really struggle. So yeah, it's quite nice to see that being displayed, maybe for people who don't understand what that feels like.
Aye. The past few holidays we've been on have been theme parky ones, and there is moments where it's a lot to take in, especially across in the States, but
100%.
Much more chill over in Paris. But there are times where there's so much going on, you've got to kind of filter it out. Mm-hmm. But you kind of get used to it. It doesn't last. Yeah,
this is it. And also at certain points it's worse than others.
Yeah, totally. There's still stillness to be had on these holidays, like telling you.
For sure. So they head back outside after the animatronic show, and a giant possum, somebody in the possum costume, tries to hug Max, but Max then slaps the possum in the face, and it makes the most incredible sound.
Beat it, doofus.
I love it. Good old
and he calls it a doofus.
He calls it a doofus.
So yeah, you get those kids that are always scared of the big characters at theme parks.
Yeah.
That was me. I was like that.
Aww.
I think I was like that. I do remember not being keen anyway. And obviously things have changed.
Yeah, we've met quite a few now.
We've met a few big characters at theme parks since then.
Mm-hmm. However, Max was not keen.
No, he wasn't.
He was not.
Yeah.
Hence slapping.
I'm calling it a doofus as well.
I'm calling it a doofus, double whammy. Goofy, the sweetheart that he is, goes to get him and Max little possum hats.
Aye.
They were lovely.
They look a bit like Roadkill.
Very much like Roadkill. Max then also experiences another episode of embarrassment because Goofy goes to get his photo taken with the possums.
Yeah, and so he literally chucks his legs over the bar and he's like, look, I'm a possum. And it's like hilarious because it's classic Goofy.
Yeah.
Although the people there are really mean.
I know, they are. They're all laughing at him.
And like kids are like, oh, what a dork and what a doofus. And Max is like, oh, unless, this is the other thing, that's no happening and that's just what Max is seeing.
Also true.
Do you know what I mean? Like that you're seeing what he's seeing, but actually what he's seeing is not actually happening.
Yeah, and it's difficult to unpick what's going on there, but it's not helped by the fact that Goofy manages to catapult a possum onto Max.
Yeah.
While taking this photo.
He does.
At this point, I've also written that one of the kids calls them Dork and Dork Jr.
Yeah, he does. Dork and Dork Jr.
So
I think this is the kid that's just called Goofy a dork prior to this.
Yeah, that's right. So clearly it's not just Max, but Max is absolutely cringing at everything that's happening right now.
Yeah.
And he's had enough. He is going to try and hitchhike.
He's going to try and hitchhike.
Rather than be in the car with his dad, which is absolutely heartbreaking.
That's really sad, and Goofy's a bit like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah, the look on his face when he sees Max hitchhiking, it's honestly broke my wee heart.
He's so mean here, and when I see it, I'm like, I'm actually ashamed to know that I've been that mean to my folks before.
We all do things when we're a teenager that we're not proud of.
It's when you watch this, you genuinely feel that.
Yeah.
That's really genuine that it gets you to do that.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's really such a sweet film.
But you're like, is the film done its job then?
Yeah.
Already?
This is it. I
For
think
making kids go, oh, I do that to my mum and dad.
Yeah.
And made even me, a grown man, watch it and say, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's obviously done its job.
Yeah, I would agree. And as if it's not bad enough, Max then throws away his possum hat. And
that thing probably cost $17.
I was literally thinking this as well.
Minimum.
Yeah, easily. So Max also yells at Goofy at this point for making him do things that he doesn't want to do, which makes Goofy really sad. They head back to the car and they head off. So what we see the next day is that they have managed to set up camp next to a river. Max is looking into the water. He's down by the side and staring deeply into the river, and he sees Maxine's beautiful face appear in the ripples of the water.
Yeah, Kat was like, oh, what a simp.
I did say that, and I stand by
What
it.
a simp. That's
Yeah.
what you've called
Yep. Whoops. As I say, stand by it though. And of course, at this point, Goofy splashes through the image of Roxanne, making Max equally as annoyed. And Goofy asks him how he is, but Max slowly walks away. So things clearly are still not great between the two of them. This trip is not going at all as planned.
No, it's not really.
I think it also highlights that, particularly as a teen, sometimes you can be so focused on being annoyed and being right. And, you know, like, this is just outrageous. Like, you're just not taking in, like, he's at this beautiful place. Like, the scenery is beautiful.
Yeah.
And he's just not taking any of it in because he's so busy focusing on what he wants and what he needs that he's not taking any of it in. And sometimes you just wish you could go back and give yourself a bit of past you a bit of a shake and be like, grow up.
Yeah.
But that shows that I've grown up.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, it does.
while they're camping, Pete, who is played by Jim Cummings.
My boy.
Yeah.
Jim Cummings. I love Jim Cummings.
Jim Cummings has got an amazing voice.
Jim Cummings has done the voice of loads of characters, including Pete, obviously. Winnie the Pooh, more famously, took over from the original Winnie the Pooh dude. He's done Bonkers,
He was also Tigger.
the Bobcat. He was Tigger. He was. He did loads of voices, man. He's done
Yeah.
so many. It's ridiculous.
Was he also Taz?
Yes, he was Taz as well.
There you
Later
go,
on.
so he goes cross-franchise.
Yeah. So and as well as that, like he has a podcast now, and it's awesome. So his podcast is run by another podcast I really enjoyed. Was Four Finger Discount, the Simpsons podcast, and Brendan Dando, the guy that works on that, is incredible. He works so hard on these podcasts to the point where he's now got Jim Cummings in to do a
That's
podcast,
amazing.
and he's the one that does a lot of the background stuff on it, and he's on it as well a lot. And Jim gets in other famous voice actors, Billy West, the guy that was Fry,
Amazing.
and Futurama and that.
It's so interesting hearing these people's
interesting
voices.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like, this is so up my street.
Yeah.
They did an episode once where he interviewed Winnie the Pooh, which was hilarious. It was just him the whole time.
Oh.
Well, not the whole time. Like, it was like a short clip.
Yeah.
It's funny.
A little
really.
segment. It was
Aye.
interesting.
Anyway, sorry. Jim Cummings is Pete.
Yes. So Pete and PJ turn up in this huge RV.
This thing is obscene.
It is a sweet RV.
It's got like a bowl. It's got like a pool. It's got like a bowling alley on the roof.
Yeah,
Bowling alley on the roof's a nice addition.
it is. And they've clearly got a satellite and the inside is dead plush. Have you ever been on a holiday, particularly as a kid, where somebody from your school was there?
Nah.
This happened to us.
No way.
A couple of different times actually, but there was one time that me and a girl I used to be really pally with in primary school ended up on the same holiday,
Oh, no way.
and I was buzzing. I was 13, and honestly, getting to hang out with your friend while they're on holiday was so
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nah, I never had that.
No, it was dead exciting because like we didn't know until we were there. We're like, oh my god, it's you. So yeah, it was really cool. PJ informs Max of how all their peers back home can't wait to see him on stage with Powerline. So he was a bit taken aback to realise that his lie is sped a bit further than he had intended.
Yeah, so Max is a bit like, oh, poop. Because
Yes.
now everybody knows.
So when Max and PJ see each other, they've got a secret handshake.
They do. But also, can I just say, right, when Max peeks his head into the RV and sees Paige buffing the floor or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, he's buffing the floor.
And he's like, what a goob. I think he calls him a goob.
I think he does call him a goof. Like, couldn't call him a goof, could he?
No, what a goob. Like, in a normal scenario, it would have been what a goof.
Yeah.
But he goes, what a goob. And I'm like, a goob. Is that a thing?
But it is now. I'm
It
going
is
to start
now. I'm
using
going to
it.
start saying it.
Yeah. Every 90s TV character had a handshake.
Yeah, Arnold, man, and Gerald. Wee, wee,
Yeah,
wee.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, him and Jazz
Yeah.
had a handshake. Like, I really feel like I missed out by not having a handshake.
I don't think I had a handshake with anyone because it's
Do you think we should come up with a secret
It's a
handshake
bit-
for the pod?
a bit dorky. But yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah, okay, we'll develop that. The Tam Shake.
We call it the Tam Shake.
Yeah.
Well, the reason, right, so Tam is our mascot.
Mm-hmm.
So the wee tomato in our logo is
Yes.
Tam.
Mm-hmm.
And he's our wee picture on Instagram. And he's in the square in the centre of our podcast logo.
He is. So at this point, Goofy is on the roof talking to Pete, and Pete gives him some advice to keep Max under his thumb.
I really liked it, but not because of what Pete says, because what Pete says is horrendous. I enjoyed it because of the analogy in the bowling balls. If you keep them under your thumb, they'll never end up in the gutter.
But I think this again highlights Pete and Goofy's differences in styles.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's like it's a stark reminder of how different these two guys are again.
Yeah.
Because we've had this earlier on. You know what I'm saying?
But every parent's different, every child is different, so you just got to find a style that works for you.
Yeah, and it kind of like he's like, oh, you need to keep him under your thumb, and then he's like, PJ, or let's just say that he's like PJ. He shouts him, and then he's like, just treats him really horribly.
Yeah, he does treat him a bit like a skivvy.
And you're like, oh, that's Shan. I just felt really sorry for him that he was so horrible. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And Goofy then is like, fine, all right. So he's much more stern,
He
tries
is.
to be much more stern with Max. And at this point, I thought, it's like they're both letting other people influence their behaviour
Yeah.
and allow others to change who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both doing it. Like they're
Yeah.
both doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's a very
Like
good
Goofy's
point.
being like Pete and Max is, you know what I'm saying?
Max trying to be something he isn't.
He's trying to be someone he's not, to try and impress someone. He's letting others influence him with the pressure of what others think of him. Like the people at the Possum Park, for example.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Mhm. No, that's a very good point.
And I was also at this point thinking, like, could the Cheddar Wizard no also came on the holiday?
I know. We are missing Bobby.
I know, I want Cheddar Wizard to come back.
Yeah, sadly, he's lacking in this part.
Uh,
I know, you think he'd be in the boot of the car or something.
I know, that would if they'd done something like that, like I was going to say they got wasted the night before and then passed out in Goofy's car, but we can't do that.
No, teens surely wouldn't do that.
No, they wouldn't do that.
No, definitely not.
Also, I don't think that's his poison.
No, it's clearly Cheese Whiz.
Oh yeah, of course, it's Cheese Whiz.
Sure.
Always on the Cheese Whiz, that guy.
Yeah. If you need Cheese Whiz, that's the guy to go to.
Alright.
Let's move along. At this point, Goofy takes Max fishing and tries to teach him how to do the perfect cast.
Perfect cast.
Yeah. And what they do accidentally by using this fishing technique is lure a Bigfoot.
Yeah, they do lure a pigfoot.
They do. And so they put a stake on the end of the line. They do the perfect cast, and the Bigfoot grabs the stake. And Goofy then says, "Must be over 3 pounds."
3 pounds, he's like, it's got to be 3 pounds.
It's a huge Sasquatch.
Scott's got a good touch.
I can't say Sasquatch.
You got it.
Oh, I said it that time.
Yeah.
Honestly, really struggle with that one.
And then also you called him Pigfoot.
I did call him Bigfoot by accident.
I called him Pigfoot, and I'm like, he's not a pig, he's quite clearly a dog.
Yeah, it clearly is. Honestly, I sometimes worry about me.
Dogfoot.
Dogfoot, aye. Pigfoot. Goofy tries to capture a picture of Bigfoot.
Dad, it's Bigfoot!
Could you back up a bit, Mr. Foot? You're out of focus.
He's great.
Yes, I think try to capture that Bigfoot footage.
Can you just
is quite
step back
funny.
a wee bit, because I can't really get you in focus, eh?
Yeah, it's a bit rude. At this point, Pete and PJ flee. They're off with their RV, and they leave Goofy and Max to spend the night in their car with Bigfoot outside.
Not ideal.
But what I noticed is that when they're scrambling to get into the car because they've lost the keys, because obviously it's Goofy, nothing ever quite goes right. Goofy is classy to the absolute last in that he puts Max in the car first. He shoves him in through the sunroof,
Yeah.
puts him in through that, and then gets himself in. So he's still putting his son first at every turn.
Yeah.
He's just so nice.
He's
He's
a
so
ledge.
sweet.
And it's at this point as well, the Bigfoot has like the keys to the car, so they can't go anywhere or do anything because the Bigfoot's got the keys. And the Bigfoot kind of looks at them and shuggles the keys like, I've got the keys.
I've got the keys.
And I was a bit like, how does he care what keys are for? He's a Bigfoot.
You don't know what his Bigfoot life's like.
He might have a wee Bigfoot house. Big Bigfoot house.
Yeah.
Sorry, big Pigfoot house. And then his wee Pigfoot door, his wee Pigfoot fireplace and Pigfoot armchair.
Mm-hmm.
And Pigfoot car.
That requires Pigfoot keys.
I took that too far.
You did, I.
Sorry.
We also see the Bigfoot get hold of a cassette player with headset, the Walkman, where he loves the Bee Gees.
I was like, and he listens to Powerline. I think he does. I think he listens to the Bee Gees.
It is definitely the Bee Gees. So while they're waiting in the car, they decide to try and have something to eat from the supplies that they've got in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And they have alphabet soup.
Yeah, they do.
And it's dead sweet. What's it he calls it again? Is it Dad soup?
Hi, Dad soup.
Hi, Dad soup.
So Max used to, obviously, when he was wee, he would use the alphabet soup to spell out things to his dad, like Hi, Dad. And so they obviously called it Hi, Dad soup, which is, like, it's just so nice.
It's such a sweet moment.
And Goofy obviously reminds him of this and just says, he's like, aye, Hi, Dad soup. And Max like, what are you on about? And he reminds him what it is and all the words that he would spell and things he would say. And Max, playing along to this, is like, words like, and he uses big words that are, and most Goofy's like, no, not stuff like that. And then they have this whole back and forth where Max is like, and Max is winding him up a bit, but also really touched by the moment, clearly.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he's like, oh no, you wouldn't do words like that. You'd do things like, hi, Dad, and I love you.
Yeah.
And then he
really
says that, and he's like, oh. And then it's, aye.
Yeah. Max is a good egg, but he's just a bit of a grump.
So they end up kind of, it's like they kind of, they both are aware of the conversation they're having and what the basis of it is. You know what I'm saying?
And I think it's just that kind of, you're starting to see them come together a wee bit more.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice. Until the drama. Goofy manages to fall asleep in the car because night has fallen. And Max is trying to get comfy and accidentally kicks the glove compartment, and the map comes tumbling out of the glove compartment, and the light from inside the glove compartment adds to the drama of this. And he's got a pencil and he sees the route they've mapped out to Idaho. And Idaho. And he sees that he could rearrange the route to go to Los Angeles where the Powerline concert is.
Max.
So, of course, he does what he shouldn't have done. And he alters the route. And it's quite dramatic because that's where, like, Goofy kind of, is he going to wake up? Is he not?
Yeah, it's quite dramatic. I was on the edge of my seat.
It is. And I just feel so bad. Like, it's like, don't do it. You don't want him to do it.
You do. It's a whole turning point moment, you know. I was doing a bit of reading about it on Reddit, etc. I always say I'd go there, and I do often because people will often talk about their feelings towards a movie in one extreme or the other, or somewhere in the middle a lot of the time too. And this certainly was a scene that people were like, this is like the chance that Max gets to have a turning point, and he doesn't take it. No,
opportunity missed.
Yeah, aye, totally. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why it's such a big moment and everyone remembers it. You know what I mean? It's too much, man. It's too much.
High drama.
Okay. I do love the comically outrageous route on the map, though.
Oh, yeah. There's like so many spirals.
All over the place. And as if it's no tense enough at this point, Goofy wakes up and he looks at Max, and Max looks at him. And then he just turns into Max and he says, he says,
how many cups of sugar does it take to get to the moon?
3.5. And then he just passes out again.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, he's woke up, but he's still asleep.
Yeah. This must be what your daily life's like for me.
It's been many a thing you've talked to me during the night when I didn't understand. Cheese and onion is the only viable option now, was the absolute classic.
I think that's true.
That's the one I always go back to because it was the first one about 15 years ago. It just cracks me up. It is one of these things though, like I say, like Max has the chance to do the right thing here, and he doesn't do it. He could tell the truth as well, and he doesn't do it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, he could no mess up the route, but he does.
Yeah, he can make the right choice every time, but he chooses not to.
But he does care, and we can see that. And that's what's really sad about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But we all make mistakes as well, and that's what you've got to remind yourself. And it's easy when you're a kid even. And that's why I think this movie is really important. Because when a kid's watching it, they're watching all this stuff and they're going, that's horrible. And they can then apply that to their own life and be like, well, actually, if I think about what Max did in a Goofy movie, which stupid as that sounds, the morals are so there.
They are.
You know what I'm saying? And it's and so, you know, it might allow a kid to go, well, actually, this is the wrong thing to do.
And I think it also is maybe try to look at showing people the wider impact of making those choices. Like, I think as a teen, you're so wrapped up in your own drama and your own wants and needs and changes and that you don't tend to think about the consequences and impact it has on everybody else, particularly your parents. So I think it's a really valuable thing to try and demonstrate.
It's the kind of thing we've seen again and again, and it's that whole idea that Max is being caught in a lie and he should just tell the truth and then everything would be better.
Yeah, it's the same old story we see again and again.
It's not
like
necessarily the moral and what happens at the end, though. But anyway, we can discuss that maybe after.
Yeah.
But, aye. So the next morning, the two of them head for breakfast at what I wrote down was a cafe. It's a diner.
It's a diner. Yeah.
They go to a diner, a sort of roadside diner, because there's all these trucks on the outside. And we get the return of the lip filler nuns as well. They're also in the diner.
Yeah, they've clearly been going a similar route. I wonder if they stopped in at LPPs.
I bet you they did. There's a
wouldn't?
earlier time, they've all got the hats and everything.
That's 50 quid down.
So at breakfast, Goofy decides to make Max the navigator of the trip and gives him control of all the stops on the map.
Which is quite poignant given the fact that Max has changed the destination.
Yeah, it is. It's really putting it in your face that you could say something new, Max.
Yeah, you're given every opportunity to do the right thing and he
Yeah.
still chooses not to.
Totally. This culminates in a decision later on, which is actually awesome. I'll talk about it when it comes up. And he announces to the whole restaurant that Max is the king of the King Navigator or something. I come in.
Yeah,
That's
I
quite
thought it
good.
was a really cute wee speech.
Yeah. So they go to loads of different locations, but basically at first it's like Max just going to places Max wants to go to.
Yeah, you
And
did
it's
feel that.
such a shame, and Goofy's like theme parks and stuff, and Goosey. And Goofy's like, it's like Goosey like in Fallout.
Yeah.
Goosey.
Goosey.
Goofy's like being sick at the theme parks and stuff, and like he's not having a great time. There's a moment here when Max recognises that and then takes Goofy to like the largest ball of yarn in the country or something.
Yeah.
One of these types of roadside attractions, things that Goofy really likes, and it's like, and he's buzzing that Max has picked it.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Like, and also I think when you see Goofy doing all the things that he clearly isn't that keen on, at no point do you see him complaining. Like, he's just enjoying spending time with Max.
That's it. And other things, like he takes him to the monster truck derby and water skiing. But yeah, they go to a baseball game at one point, which they're both buzzing to be at, it seems like. And Goofy basically falls off the thingy, try to catch the ball, and then he falls through the stand. And he gets like the the baseball man, to sign his ball for him. Like,
yeah, it's another prime example of Goofy turning a disadvantage into an advantage.
Totally. And it's it's brilliant. And it's nice because they're starting, it's like Max is starting to recognise they're obviously getting on, even though they're both doing stuff maybe the other one doesn't want to do at times.
It does become more balanced as the montage goes on, which I really enjoyed.
Aye. But they eventually stop at a hotel where they see that Pete and Peach are there. And Pete's like astounded to see that Max and Goofy are now bonding and having fun with each other, because how dare they?
I know. Very much not his parenting style.
Totally. Classy choice of hotel though, eh?
Oh, yeah. Seems nautical themed.
It's wild. I love it though. I'd stay there on a heartbeat. It's the craziest looking hotel I've ever seen. Pete's, as I mentioned, he's no happy about this, and he's kind of reminding him about the under the thumb thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the sad thing here, and the worst part, is that in this situation, Pete's almost right. But he's no, because they have bonded through this trip. Regardless of what the end goal is, they've bonded along the way.
But
so
there's still this betrayal to be revealed.
Ah, exactly. Not good. It's horrible, actually. But we'll get there in a sec. I'm actually obsessed with what they are. I've got another note here, and a question mark. It just says, is Goofy a Labrador? And then it's got, what dogs are they? Mikey, just forget about it.
Just leave it.
I'm talking to myself here. Forget about it, lad.
It's okay. It's not going to stop you enjoying it. Just keep moving.
So basically, Pete then overhears a conversation between Max and Peach, and he tells Goofy that Max has tricked him into travelling to LA to see Powerline. Goofy refuses to believe Pete when he says that Max is a bad kid. He's like, no, he's not. You know, and obviously you've got to remember Goofy's got this thing boiling in the back of his mind about the electric chair, because his principal Egypt has mentioned it. So Pete asks Goofy to check the map then, and and Goofy says that no, because he trusts Max. And Goofy says that Max loves him and that is more than enough for him, And Pete's too busy emphasising the fact that PJ respects him, and that's how it should be. But the reality is, it just feels to me like PJ's a bit scared of his dad.
Yeah, it's again highlighting that difference in parenting style.
Yeah.
And Goofy shouldn't doubt himself on that front.
Nah. Oh, absolutely. I wonder if, do you know what's interesting about this too? Do you think there's ever adults that have watched this and went, oh man, that's what I'm like to the bairn?
Yeah, probably.
And seen Pete and went, oh man, I need to be less like that. I need to be more goofy.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we could all
so
be
it
a bit
makes
more
you wonder
goofy.
how much value this film really has.
I
No
think
wonder
it's
it's
got a lot.
fresh, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
Why-
it is anyway.
I know.
It's been rotten since Rotten Tomatoes started, and now it's fresh. What's that about? Goofy goes to the car, and then the glove box springs open,
Yeah, he kind of looks at it
and he
thinking,
looks
shoulda?
at the map, and we don't see him look at the map, if you get me. He looks over at it, but he doesn't really look at it. We don't know if he looks at it. We don't see him look at it. But regardless, he comes back into the hotel, and he looks heartbroken.
Honestly, this bit had me, like, it really hit me in the feels.
It's emotionally charged. It's really hard to watch.
It is really hard to watch, and like especially because he just like the boys are sitting in there, so both PJ. Should stop calling him Peach.
I think Max calls him Peach.
Oh, that's okay then.
Yeah.
Peach and Max are sitting in the room having pizza. They're watching a bit of telly, and then Goofy comes in and just goes straight to lie down in the bed. Doesn't even get under the covers. Just lies down, facing away from
And
Max.
facing away for them, just looking broken.
Yeah.
It's harder to watch even just after them having such a good time as well.
Yeah,
Like
it's really.
seeing them bond and all the amazing things they've done together, and this is how what's happened.
Yeah, it's super sad.
And his faith in Max has obviously been totally shattered.
And just as I say, the betrayal. You know, like he's trusted him to be the navigator, even though the betrayal had happened before that point.
The next day, Goofy doesn't say anything to Max about it as they drive, and Goofy and Max come to a junction, one leading to Idaho and the other to California/LA.
This is the pivotal moment.
And this is the pivotal moment I referred to earlier, where it's culminating in Max getting a chance to make the right decision. It feels to me like Max knows that Goofy knows.
I think because it's getting to the crunch point,
Yeah.
I think Max picking up the vibe that his dad knows that he's done something
Like,
a
it
bit
feels
iffy.
like he knows that Goofy knows, but he doesn't really know that Goofy knows about his plan. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It feels like they both know to me, sort of here. And that's because it's just such a huge moment, and Max is sweating it, Goofy's sweating it.
Yeah. Like you can feel Goofy really willing Max to make the right choice. And he just doesn't.
He doesn't make the right choice, no. Max chooses the route to California, and making Goofy stop the car at the Grand Canyon and storm off in anger, basically.
He does.
So if he didn't know that Goofy knew, he does now.
Yeah.
With the brake loose, the car drives off on its own, and Goofy and Max chase after it and end up in the Colorado River on top of the car.
Yep. This is it. And this is another example of where Goofy helps Max up first.
Yeah.
So again, that kind of constantly like putting Max first comes up.
We get the point, the song here, Nobody Else But You as well.
Yeah.
And
They do. I love it.
Yeah, and it's fun because I'm like, Goofy basically comes, it's very apparent here, Goofy just wants to be part of his son's life. That's
Yeah,
all.
this
Do
is
you know
it.
what I mean? And it's so sad, and he just wants to be part of his life.
It's about that Goofy needs to still be part of his life, but maybe
Yeah.
part of his life in a more adult fashion. That you can't cling on to him being a child forever.
Exactly, yeah.
So
You want me to be part of your life, but you've got to figure out what that is at the moment.
yeah, and
So they kind of talk on top of the car.
they do.
So after the two of them have reconciled on top of the car,
Yeah.
Max comes clean about everything, and basically realising that Max has promised Roxanne that he's going to be at the concert and everything, Goofy decides, I'm going to take you to Los Angeles then. Let's do this together.
Yes,
And
I
it's
love
the
it.
most amazing moment. And it's this whole thing where I'm like, I say this to everyone all the time. Communication is key in any
100%.
relationship, whether that be a parent-child relationship or your wife or your girlfriend or whoever.
Yeah, any
Friendships.
partner, friendship.
You've got to, the communication is really important. And if you didn't do that, you didn't know what each other are, where you're headed, you can't learn for each other or what each other actually want. And,
Yeah.
Or to sort of compromise and learn how to be with each other and how
Yeah.
to spend time with each other. Do you see what I'm saying?
I was wondering if Max had said to Goofy at the beginning, like, "Oh, Dad, do you think we could go to LA? I'd really want to go to this concert."
Mm-hmm.
I think Goofy probably would have been like, "Sure." But also, I just don't know if at the start of the movie, the space they were both in, whether that would have worked out or not.
Yeah.
Like, I think Goofy wanted to replicate what he did with his dad.
Because he was so worried, he's so worried
He's
about
so-
what's going to happen to Max.
Exactly. So I think it's worked out okay.
Yeah.
Also, just to cycle back to the Nobody Else But You song, there's a
Yeah.
line in it that I absolutely loved.
Oh, yeah.
Really loved. When life becomes distressing, who will I be SOSing? It's just one
That's
of my
class,
favourites. It's so cool.
Is it kind of like, when life becomes distressing, who'll I be SOSing?
That's
Like that, eh?
exactly it.
I'm trying to remember the song. That's why I've asked you that.
Yeah, no,
And
that's
and I
exactly
remember
the melody.
song completely now that I've got the melody. Aye, it's class.
It's a very lovely song.
Yeah,
Really nice.
And like I say, it's just awesome that it's another example, and you see it in movies all the time, because they actually sit and have a conversation. The problems are all fixed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I used to do that at work with people too. If there's an issue, let's talk it through.
Yeah, sometimes you're better just to have a conversation with
Aye.
people.
Do you know what I mean?
But yes, thankfully they've reconciled and Goofy is going to help him.
So then the two of them basically nearly plummet down a waterfall. But Max fortunately saves Goofy using the perfect cast technique.
Yes, we knew it would come back. It's
Love
quite a
it.
dramatic moment going over the edge of the waterfall though.
It is, totally.
Yeah.
But Goofy's basically like, the perfect cast.
He is.
He's so buzzing.
He
about it.
is. Yeah, it's a really nice moment.
And they also hug as well.
Yeah.
After he saves them. Class.
Yeah, it's a really
Things
nice
are very
wholehearted moment.
much better in the Goofy household now.
Yeah, things are, and it's quite a sweet moment. Goofy and Max head off to Los Angeles at this point,
Los Angeles.
and they manage to blag their way into the music concert.
Yeah, somehow.
They do it in the cases of instruments.
Oh, is that how they do it?
Yeah, which I thought was quite
It's
cool.
very Detroit Rock City, eh?
It
They're
is.
trying to sneak into the Kiss concert.
It is, but just love the fact that there's no filler in between. We're straight in. They're making their way through backstage, seeing all sorts happening, managing to avoid security, and they open a dressing room door into some sort of drag performer, and Goofy pulls an amazing face. They manage to blag their way through, and Goofy ends up in some sort of orb.
Aye.
In traditional Goofy fashion, he sort of goofs his way through.
In traditional Goofy fashion, he's been orbed.
He has been orbed. So they end up on stage and dancing with Powerline,
Aye.
which is amazing.
It's class. It's cool. I'll tell you this. The other day, I was going on YouTube, and Disney have released a virtual experience of this concert.
Have they?
So you can, it's like you're in the front row, and when you move your phone, it moves, so you can look about. It's class.
Oh, I want to do that.
And I'll, you know what I'll do? I'll actually put it in the show notes for this.
Yes, please.
And because it was really cool, so if any fans out there want to watch the Powerline concert and be in the front row, you can.
I want to go. I would never go a
It's just
front
one song,
ticket.
but it's really that one song, but it's really cool.
Oh no, I'm doing that this evening. Exciting. When they're on stage dancing with Powerline, Goofy appears in this orb that gets put on stage. Like, it's quite an elaborate stage setup he's got. But he ends up dancing with Powerline, and he doesn't really know what to do. So Max tells him to do the perfect cast as the dance moves. It's amazing. It's so good. And Powerline starts joining in. Oh, it's brilliant. It really is quite a happy
I'm
moment.
also pleased to say that we see Stacey's house, and everybody's there, including the Cheddar Wizard.
Cheddar Wizard!
Cheddar Wizard! He's back.
He is back. It's excellent. And
It's gone mad with it with the cheese.
yeah, everybody from school sees Max on stage with Powerline. It's amazing.
Oh, actually, just to mention here that Cheddar Wizard actually connects with Stacey's pal.
Yeah.
Sorry, with Stacey. Is that
With
Stacey?
Stacey. Yeah, that's Stacey.
That's Stacey. Well, he ends up sort of connecting with her.
Yeah, it's really
And
nice.
they're going to have a wee thing going on. Cheddar Wizard.
I think they'll balance out just perfectly.
If she's all right with the,
The
copious
smell.
amounts of cheddar kicking about.
Blech. Yeah, I'm not sure. We also paused this movie right when it was on the crowd at
Yeah.
the Powerline
We
concert.
did, aye, and it was Raj.
It was really strange. There was a Viking.
There was a Viking. Yeah.
There was a goat.
Yep.
There was a cowgirl. Mickey made a cameo.
Aye.
Droopy D also seemed to be there.
Well, it couldn't have been.
It couldn't
Droopy
have
D
been.
was one of them. There was a dog that looked like Droopy D. I think.
Yeah, Droopy D-esque.
Aye, and then there was like a bunch of Maxes and Peaches.
Yeah, and there was a Robo Goofy.
Was there a Robo Goofy?
That's what I've
Wow.
written down, so it must have been there.
Jeez, oh.
Yeah, a lot.
We happened, and it wasn't even it was an accident. We paused it because Gus was wanting it or something.
Yeah, usually it's because
It's usually that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like intentional. So we saw it and we're like, oh, look at this.
the song that's on at this point is It's Eye to Eye.
Oh, yes, man.
And it is spectacular. It's such a good song.
Eye to eye rules.
It is really good. If you only listen to one song from the soundtrack, it probably would be that one.
I'm mad with it for a band called Punk Rock Factory. And they do like pop punk covers of like cartoon theme tunes and that. But they've done 2 Disney albums, and on one of them Eye to Eye was on it, and their cover of Eye to Eye is class.
It's so good.
I'm going to also link that in. I feel like
You
I should.
Eventually they get dragged away by security, I think.
Yeah.
Because they've really just kind of gatecrashed the stage, understandably. The next scenes we see are them heading home, and the car has just made it back to Roxanne's house. Just.
Yeah.
And then it falls apart. How on earth they made it work after the river issue?
But by some
I'll
small
never know.
miracle it does, and they get right back to Roxanne's.
They do, and then it breaks apart, which is fair enough. It's been through a lot. And Max runs to tell the truth to Roxanne. She accepts it and admits she has always had feeling with him ever since he said his first yuck.
Yeah, which is awesome, because that's the thing he was embarrassed about, and also the fact that it shows a lot of growth on Roxanne's part. So earlier on I moaned about how she was being a baby because she was like, I'll go with somebody else. But she's grown.
She has grown, yeah.
And it shows she's grown, because Max is like, well, I actually can't do right now because I've got to go and do this thing with my dad.
Yeah.
But what about tomorrow?
Yeah.
Or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay then, aye, sound.
Yeah. I'm not just going to go get somebody else.
She is growing.
Totally. And it seems like they've got a good foundation for seeing if something's there between the two of them. So at this point, Goofy's car actually explodes. And he is catapulted out of the car and goes through Roxanne's porch roof.
Yep.
Which is quite spectacular. And Max introduces Goofy to Roxanne.
Yeah.
Bagsy not telling Roxanne's dad that there's a big hole in the roof, by the way.
I know, that's a scary man.
That
anyway,
is a scary
there's
man.
a big hole in the roof. But again, I just think there's a wee bit of depth here because we get Roxanne growing a little bit, and it's a tiny little bit, but that's all that it takes to give the movie a little bit more depth, and it does have that.
Definitely.
Like, it really does, man.
And also like the fact that despite Goofy being catapulted through Roxanne's roof, Max still introduces him.
Yeah,
Like,
this
he's
is my
not
dad.
embarrassed, just
Basically,
like,
he's
"This is my
proud
dad."
to introduce him.
Yeah, like this is just the way it is.
Right.
And that's the end of our movie.
That's it. And it had me wondering, can Goofy get insurance, do you think?
No chance.
Nah, probably no.
So Mikey, what did you think?
I think that this is a much deeper film than people get credit for.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? I like that it kind of explores the dynamic between parent and child so well,
Yeah, I would agree.
and gives us moral dilemmas along the way, and Max's moral compass is everywhere. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The story's masterfully told, I think, as well. It is. It's so well told.
Yeah,
It's a simple story. There's no loads to it, but it's told well.
it is.
You know, and along the way, like I say, giving us all those bits where Max is having a moral dilemma.
Yeah, and how much those moral moments make you, as the viewer,
Yeah.
feel.
That Idaho California sign intersection is just amazing. I think I'll forget that again
No.
after watching it so closely this time. I think some characters are cheap jokes as well to a degree, like Cheddar Wizard,
Yeah.
and that's a good thing. I can't really get across how much I think that's a good thing when I'm saying that,
I think
because
so.
this is an animated feature.
Mhm.
We need that. We have Goofy, obviously, but Goofy's in the centre of the story here.
Mhm.
So you need that, and that's where I think the Cheddar Wizard came in and done that. And a few other
Definitely.
things can have that comic relief.
Yeah, I think we'd need that.
Aye, totally. But it's that, you know, cheap throwaway character's fine. The principal is a principal by numbers as well. He's like the principal for either, say, Sabrina or Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is what we're watching.
100%.
And I think as well, like, there's so many parts, there are a few parts in this movie that make you really feel.
Yeah.
And it's like, how is a wee animated feature film doing that to me? So yes, this movie was sandwiched in between The Lion King and between Hercules, which are two of Disney's greatest movies. Hercules is massively underrated in my opinion.
I
Right?
agree.
But this movie makes you feel more than, I think, at least more than Hercules, and perhaps less than The Lion King.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
got a
like-
lot of heart.
Yeah, but it's got so much heart and so much real world stuff that you can apply to your life, even though it's about dogs, man.
Or is it?
Or is it dogs, Ken? I don't
Let's
know.
not go to the
Beagles.
again.
Are they beagles? Are they Labradors? What are they?
No.
Sorry. Also, the soundtrack rocks. I love it.
Yeah, every song on it. It's not loads of songs,
Yeah.
which I think is a good thing as well. I think it might have got tiring if there was too many, but the ones that are there, each one is good.
Totally, aye. So what did you think as a whole?
I really liked it. It had a lot more depth to it than I remembered it having.
Yep.
As I say, I think it does so well to neither character is really unreasonable.
Yeah.
Not to the point of ridiculousness. Like, you can see both points of view, and I think that tussles with that really well. I thought the characters were quite deep.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of complexity to them. about Goofy just wanting to see the best in everything, but that not being the reality.
Like, you might have like two-dimensional characters like Pete to a degree,
Oh, yeah.
being a mean dad, but he plays his purpose like quite well, I think.
He does, but no, I thought it was really good, and I think it stands up to the test of time. Like, I can't believe it's 30 years old. It's more
crazy.
relevant now than ever.
Yeah, it is, I think it's one of these things, like I mentioned it, obviously, again, Lion King, Hercules thing, Syrian, right, being sandwiched between those two, but like, I think the story here would, like I've just mentioned, would resonate more with people than the Lion King also as well. It's about grief, it's about losing your parent, and it's about like so much more. You know, Hercules has got a lot going on too, about trying to fit in and trying to pretend you see who you are and trying to, you know, there's a lot going on. But I think this movie does have a lot of real world stuff you can apply it to, and that everybody can resonate with it in some way. But I looked online, as I often do, just to see what they say. And most people are in agreement with us, and it's clearly a bit of a millennial cult classic.
I think that's fair to say.
Is what's happened here.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think like our nieces would have know this movie at all.
No, I don't think
But
it's on the radar.
folk from our age group, or in their 20s probably even, and then beyond,
Yeah.
into their 40s, know this movie.
Yeah, and I suspect it's one of these things that people our age are having kids, and they'll probably introduce their kids to it, and that's probably why it's getting a bit of a resurgence as well.
But and it's interesting, a lot of people are saying it hits differently as an adult, is the genuine term I found online. And that was furthered by a Vanity Fair article I read about it. Super interesting article. And it gives you a lot of information about the movie, stuff we've talked about and more, but I'm going to link that in as well, because I think it was a really interesting article. And I didn't expect to find a Vanity Fair article about a Goofy movie, but it's because it has become a bit of a cultural phenomenon now. And so they wrote an article about it. And it's like, I know that the merchandise sells out everywhere.
It is
I
really
went to
popular.
get a Powerline t-shirt a while ago, couldn't get one, and they were selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
You know, you can get a lot of Disney merch on Amazon. I don't like to use Amazon too much, but they do have good priced Disney shirts, and I got a couple for going away to Disneyland last time, but I wanted a Powerline one, didn't have one, because they're sold out.
Crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of folk online have also, like, there was articles, yes, but some folk have said it kind of feels like a throwaway Disney movie. But largely, again, just that it suffered because when it was released.
I think this is it. And I think also people make assumptions about it before they've even seen it.
Yeah, because of the fact it was produced by a lesser known Disney studio, and therefore the animation wasn't picture perfect like a Disney movie.
I also think the length potentially doesn't help it. The fact that it's only 1 hour 18 minutes long, it is a bit of a TV movie vibe to it.
It does. But that doesn't really stop people, because apparently, according to the article I read, fans are now making like live action YouTube tributes to this.
Oh, not sure I feel about that.
I know, and like, it was D23, right, in 2020, all that, like, it was just like full of Powerline merchandise and stuff.
Actually, that might come up soon.
Oh, cool. Oh, so we're on to the trivia then, let's go.
Are you ready? Cool, let's go for it.
Yeah!
Okay, we've got quite a lot of trivia for this movie.
Cool.
The character of Powerline is a mixture of Bobby Brown, Prince and Michael Jackson.
Ah, cool. I think I knew something about that, because I know that Tevin Campbell, the guy that was Powerline, was like a protege of Prince's.
That would make sense.
So Prince, he knew Prince and worked with Prince.
Although Jason Marsden is a talented singer, he did not perform the musical numbers in the film.
That's weird, eh?
Yeah, it was out of Disney's concern that a Broadway-style musical actor should provide Max's singing voice instead. The actor that did it was Aaron Lohr, who was a personal close friend of Jason's. However, 2 decades later, at the 2015 D23 Expo, during a panel celebrating the film's 20th anniversary, it was rectified when Jason Marsden and Bill Farmer sang a duet of On the Open Road together without any prior rehearsal. How incredible is that?
Class.
It's amazing. Just on spur of the moment. Like,
Not Jason Marsden knew it, so like, that's class.
And Bill Farmer did as well.
Well, of course Bill Farmer. He's goofy, embodied goofy, everything goofy.
But that's what I say, these songs have got lasting
Aye,
power.
they have, aye.
They've got good sticking power. So as we mentioned, Donald Duck does have a cameo in this film, but it was intended to be a much larger part.
Oh!
Donald Duck originally was supposed to play the travel agent that Goofy phones to try and book the trip. And Goofy asks him on the phone, "What do you think I should do?" Donald responds incoherently, and Goofy responds with, "What did you say? Is there someone else I can talk to?"
That'd be a class.
Yeah, they changed their mind in the end though.
They did, because they then referenced Donald directly instead, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, much better way to do it, I think. When Max is singing in the school auditorium, Roxanne's position changes from close to the stage to the back of the room. Yes. The reason the filmmakers did this was to give the illusion that all Max cares about is Roxanne and no one else.
So what does moving have to do with that?
So that she could be at the back of the auditorium, but to his mind, she's right in that front row.
Right, I see. Of course, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm going to have to give that another glance over. I'll have a look at the concert tonight.
I'm buzzing to I'm going to watch this again soon anyway.
Yeah.
Probably just to chill out because it's class.
It's so much fun. The film was originally made at around late 1993 and was supposed to be released in theatres during the holiday season of 1994. However, some production problems in France caused the film's release to be pushed back to 1995, while The Lion King was reissued to fill in for the film's absence.
I read about this. Now, might have been an article or something else, but it was basically saying that there was a machine and there was a problem on one part of it that caused one pixel in all of the animation to be faulty. So they had to redo it.
That's crazy. It must have been so much work.
And I didn't understand the terminology because especially from 95, animation now is very, very different. But I don't know what it was, but it was stated that it was a pixel that caused the problem.
Imagine, that would just drive you daft as a worker. The Powerline songs were recorded at Prince's studio in Paisley Park.
Oh, what a surprise.
Yeah. Rosie Gaines, a member of Prince's group, has a solo in the song Eye to Eye. The backup singers were the gospel singers, The Waters.
Cool.
Yeah, so a very stellar musical cast.
Yeah.
The inspiration for the film came from Jeffrey Katzenberg, the chairman of the Walt Disney Feature Animations at the time, who was feeling distant from his daughter, and he decided to go on a road trip with her that brought the two closer together.
That's so amazing.
So
it was based
cute.
on essentially the guy's real life problem that he had. It gives it even more meaning, doesn't it, to a degree?
Yeah, and that it's based on real life feelings.
Yeah.
Max's transformation into his dad during the opening nightmare sequence was inspired by An American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, gotta be.
You pegged it straight off the bat.
Yes, I didn't say that earlier, but I said werewolf transformation because that was the first thing I thought of was American Werewolf in London.
Our last bit of trivia for this movie. I know, it comes round all too soon.
It does.
In a rare change from the norm, the cast recorded together for this movie as much as they possibly could.
Really?
Yeah.
So in the same room?
Yep.
Or same area?
All in the same room.
So yeah, interesting thing. I spoke about Adventure Time before. I believe they do that a lot.
Do they?
They try and do that as much as they can so that people are in the same room together.
I think it makes sense so you can bounce off each other.
Totally.
But I wonder if that's also why it feels quite authentic.
Aye.
It gives that genuine reaction.
Because you can
and
react
emotion.
to one another much better.
Yeah, and you can kind of tonally match what somebody else is saying.
Nowadays, you probably just video call. I bet you.
Ah, yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
But there you go, that's the trivia for this week's movie.
Class, that was great. So just to remind everyone, a Wilhelm scream is this. A classic sound you may be familiar with. And I'm very pleased to announce that we had our first Wilhelm scream.
Yes, we did have our first Wilhelm scream in this movie.
And I made that Wilhelm klaxon just for you.
Thank you. Wow, I feel so special.
Yeah. The first one is when Goofy is driving during the on the open road part, I think, and he hits a guy who's a road worker and hits scaffolding, and that's when you hear the first Wilhelm scream.
It was perfectly placed.
It's so well placed. And the second one, which I never noticed and Kat did, was when a guy swings into the big screen at the concert and smashes into it.
Yeah.
It's funny because, see, the first one, we were actually buzzing. It was hilarious, eh?
Oh, we're
And
so
everyone
excited.
were like, there's one! We got one!
We got
It's
one!
only taken 6 episodes, but we got one!
And then to have 2, we were totally
I
mind
know,
blown.
to get 2, we were just like, this is great. Best Sunday ever. Kat, what was your favourite line from this movie?
There were so many good ones
Yeah.
in this movie. I still think that mine's is the SOS actually from that song.
Yeah.
When life becomes distressing, who will I be SOSing? I love that.
Absolutely, yeah.
It just totally sung to me.
Aye, it's class. There's a lot in this, highly quotable. Again, we picked another one like this. But it absolutely has to be the Cheddar Wizard.
Cheddar Wizard!
Cheddar! Ow! Cheddar Wizard! I totally maxed out the audio levels doing that.
You really did.
I
Our
got
poor
really
neighbours.
Hope the neighbours were in. But yeah, I love it. And the Cheddar Wizard whole thing, sorry, Bobby, his whole thing just cracks me up. I love it.
He's a total scene stealer. Like, even though he's animated, he still manages to dominate every scene he's in.
So we always talk about our favourite sounds as well, Kat. Do you have a favourite sound for this one?
I do have a favourite sound for this one.
Uh-huh.
And it's when Max is transforming into Goofy in the first scene. It's the sound of his head popping.
Yeah. And it's class. And you get a few random sounds during that scene.
Yeah.
With his nose, and it's all like the stretching and stuff. It's all very cartoony to make something that is pretty horrific sort of fun and
Definitely.
cartoony,
It needed those noises to make it less nightmarish.
Did, man. My favourite sound is when Goofy catches the Pigfoot, right? Sorry. Catches Bigfoot, and Bigfoot's underwater for a sec on a fishing line. It's like it's a weirdly satisfying sound.
It is very satisfying.
What does a Bigfoot sound like underwater? Now you know.
Now you know. And all the cool kids call him Pigfoot.
As for if they say the name of the film in the film, they do not say a Goofy movie in the film, because that would be silly.
Mikey, would you like to give me some reviews for this film?
Yes, I would. From the audiences themselves, eh? So, coming up on its 30th anniversary, so this must have been before this year, it's no wonder a Goofy movie is a suburban cult classic, even though it was handled by one of Disney's television production crews. Longtime master of animated Mickey Mouse slapstick, Goofy is portrayed lovingly as a single father to his awkward son, who's embarrassed to be associated with him. Both angles are something anyone can relate to and find comfort in. Good or bad relationship with a parental figure. After an intense confrontation where Goofy is immensely disappointed following the map debacle, the two find common ground in such a realistic way, reflecting upon unfortunate situation turned bonding experience. Bill Farmer voicing Goofy as a human being with the... Sorry, apologies, I'm trying to read it as it's written. Bill Farmer voicing Goofy as a human being when the time calls. Powerline's 80s and 90s star status, and a genuinely sweet romance between Max and Roxanne, a girl who absolutely notices and likes him, even though he still feels the need to prove himself in the years following its debut. It deserves to be the big deal it became in Disney's classic library.
I think that really sums up how I feel about it as well.
He went on a bit, but, you know...
It's quite a lengthy one.
It's because he's summarised a bit the plot, trying to do that kind of thing. I get it. You do that.
Yeah, we do that. Stop trying to steal our job.
I know. No, he's totally right. He is.
Yeah.
He's actually nailed it. It's in a nutshell.
And I think that's it. I think the point about, you know, Bill Farmer voicing Goofy as a human being. I know that sounds silly because we've obviously discussed, like, is he a dog? Is Goofy a
Labrador?
Is he a beagle?
Is he a pug? Oh,
not going down that route
again. Not
again.
a pug. He's got a snout.
Very, very long snout, so definitely not a pug. That is really important to just have that genuine feeling that you get from Bill Farmer's performance.
Next one is, I loved this movie as a kid growing up. I would watch it and rewatch it. Max was my first crush back then.
Max does have fabulous hair.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That threw me a bit. Sorry. The songs are catchy and upbeat, and characters are funny and colourful. Be careful if you don't want your kids watching a movie with a little adult humour.
Yeah,
I don't get that. I didn't really see that.
No, I didn't see this either.
Nah.
Unless I can't really think of anything too adult in it.
Me
to be
either.
honest.
It's quite an unoffensive movie. A Goofy movie is a Sorry. That's a really goofy there. What's that? Oh, I can't do it, man. A Goofy movie is a very goofy movie indeed. That's what they've written. Except for its lame father and son storyline.
What? That's the whole movie?
I know, that's the whole point. This guy's missed the point, man.
That's the whole movie.
The movie is packed to the brim with stuff you wouldn't find in a Disney movie today. There is a death toll.
Is there?
What? I know. Wait, what? That sentence comes out of nowhere. There is a death toll. There is a murder. There is a mafia murder victim singing with a reanimated corpse.
Okay.
Bigfoot dancing to the Bee Gees. And finally, there are so many fetishes on display here. In short, there's something here for everyone. Wait, what was that last part about?
I don't know. Did we watch the same film?
Fetishes.
Yeah. And, like, okay, to be fair, I agreed with the mafia murder.
There is a mafia murder. There is also a reanimated corpse. I said that also.
We've covered those yet. But fetishes, I'm not sure.
I don't really know. I think maybe he doesn't know what that means.
Do you think maybe it's one of these things they've watched an old VHS that's recorded over with something else at the end?
Whoa, I hope no. Maybe. I'll tell you what. I'm not going to go into what a fetish is because this is a family-friendly show today.
Apparently.
This time.
For once.
All right, okay. The next person was a fan. This movie is excellent. Goofy, being one of Disney's main characters, just in case you didn't know, by the way, got the movie he deserves. The story feels so natural, and the music from Tevin Campbell is incredible. Real pop from the era. The animation is great, and every scene is very detailed, all by hand. A real classic Disney movie.
I think that encapsulates the sentiment that everybody feels about it now.
Crazy, eh?
Yeah.
It's awesome to see how many folk are loving it. The next one, again, it's another person saying that reminds them of their childhood. The animation reminds me of my childhood when I had the CD and watched it on DVD player. Again, I'm reading these as they're written. Okay. This one is like escaping from adulthood. I like how it shows relationship between son and dad, family bonding. Goofy as a dad I would like to be.
Oh, I think that's quite sweet.
Yeah, they've got the point across quite well. I get that. I get it. Everybody wants to be a dad like Goofy, and everybody has been the child that Max is at some point.
Yeah,
Do you
definitely.
know what I'm saying? Last one I've got for you. A movie is one of these... A movie, just a movie. Just any movie.
Just chop words out, why don't you?
A Goofy movie is one of those films that really shouldn't work, but somehow is a perfect 90s flick. It's almost like going through your fridge, not expecting to find anything, and instead finding the last piece of chocolate cake that you loved from a few nights ago. This person's clearly had that happen to them.
Yeah, clearly. And also it's making me very hungry.
For chocolate cake.
I really want chocolate cake.
Elements of this film work so well together, despite having little budget or time to work with. The characters of both Max and Goofy are very relatable, whether you're a son or a father, or a child, I would say, in general.
I would argue, yeah, child.
It's overall a film you would never expect to hit as hard as it does, not to mention the awesome soundtrack.
I think that sums it up perfectly. That soundtrack, those feels.
So, Kat, is a Goofy movie well, we know it's fresh, apparently, according to Rotten Tomatoes. Now,
Yeah.
But it was rotten, but hey-oh. Do you think it's fresh or rotten, though?
I am now inclined to agree with Rotten Tomatoes in that it's fresh. I definitely think it's a good movie.
You agree with Rotten Tomatoes' current assessment, not the prior
Yes,
assessment?
not the prior
of the movie.
assessment.
I also, you can't no say this is fresh, man.
Yeah.
And if you are, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
You say that.
I just don't know what you could dislike about it, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I think it's really good.
I think that maybe people don't like it for the reasons we've stated, in that it was missed by a lot of people, but also it was based on a TV series that not everybody knew, I guess. Is something I've not read, but something I've thought of anyway.
Yeah, well, as somebody...
Not everyone might have seen a Goof Troop.
Yeah, like I hadn't seen a Goof
I
Troop.
just said a Goof Troop again. Not everyone had seen Goof Troop, sorry.
Yeah. Like I've never in my life seen an episode of Goof Troop, and I still don't feel like I missed out.
No,
I
not
still
really.
enjoyed this
Goof
film.
Troop's good though, but aye.
I was really surprised that this film has a sequel. I didn't know that. It's called An Extremely Goofy Movie.
Goofy movie, right.
Yeah.
Fresh, I believe.
I don't think I've actually checked. Should be.
Find it.
But I think the sign of a good film is that I want to watch the sequel. So I take that as an indicator that I think this film is fresh.
2000, so 5 years later, and it is also fresh. 63%.
Very good.
Aye, just about the same score as us. So we'll need to watch that at some point. But we
Sounds
can't
right.
do that because it's no rotten. It might have been rotten before, and we didn't know, because Rotten Tomatoes are messing with our heads, man.
Yeah. Tell you what, let's just watch it for pleasure.
Aye, absolutely. I'll watch it whenever I want, because it's class.
Plan.
And obviously, and on that note, would you watch it again?
Yes, I would watch it again.
Aye, totally. We both would.
Would you?
I think
Yeah.
we're watching it again soon.
I'm on board. So next week is a surprise pick from me.
That's right. So I didn't know what the film is next week, because we decided to do this a couple of times a season, is to surprise one another. But as well as that, we're also doing requests from people and movies that we have on our list. So we're kind of working from a pool of films.
We are.
But this one is one I don't know.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you right now?
Yes, please.
Next week, we are going to cover Evolution.
Oh, class, man. I
One
was
of
so
my
into this movie
faves.
when it came out. It was a yellow box at the blue cover with a sort of big smiley face with the 3 eyes on the front.
Yeah, I had that too.
Oh, class. Just a couple of wee sort of announcements to say here is that I'd like to mention that we're planning on season 1 being 12 episodes.
Yeah, we are.
So we're going to do 12 episodes, kind of a variety across the 12. And we'll then do a last episode, it's like our end one, where we rank all the movies in the season, basically.
Yeah.
In case anybody's not aware, we picked Rank Rotten as a title for a couple of reasons, but one of them is because we wanted to rank the movies at the end of the season.
Yes.
But the other one being is because it's a sort of local colloquialism that something is rank rotten. So
Yeah.
if it's rotten, it's no very good. If it's rank rotten, it's really no very
It's
good.
the absolute pits.
So we decided to pick that as a sort of local thing, and also kind of matched up with what we wanted to do with this whole thing.
Yeah, just tied together nicely.
Absolutely. But we're planning on doing the 12 episodes this season.
So this episode marks our midpoint.
And this marks our midpoint. This is episode 6, that's right. And I'm not quite sure what form that sort of ranking episode will take yet, but we'll get there once we're done with this. We've got 6 more episodes to go yet. So the last thing to say here as well is to ask if everyone can, and I've not said this because I've kind of forgot up to now because I've got kind of caught up on everything, but it really helps a podcast, especially a wee one like this, and allows us to kind of, expand our wee dorky movie club to more people who like and want to talk about movies, especially ones that people say, oh, that's a horrible or a bad film, and you're like, well, maybe it's no. So, it would be nice, to have more folk listening. I'm just grateful if you're listening to this now. Thank you so much for coming and listening to it.
Yeah,
you must be mad.
Much.
No, but I really appreciate it massively. But if you can rate us on whatever app you're using, so given the 2 biggest examples, Spotify. If you're on the main podcast page, there's 3 little dots. If you tap that, you can then rate us. If you can give us a 5-star rating, that would be great.
It would.
If you didn't want to give us a 5-star rating, tell us why instead.
Yeah.
And maybe we can talk to you about it. But
we'd love any feedback.
Yeah, most folk, didn't really listen to a podcast if it's got less than 4.5 out of 5. But it's really up to you. But 5-star reviews are the thing people generally ask for. And I feel dead awkward doing this whole thing, but to review us and rate us on iTunes, if you're on the main podcast page, scroll down a wee bit. There's a write a review button that allows you to rate stars. Give us whatever out of 5, and then preferably 5 again, please.
If we're asking, we might as well ask.
That's it, and then you can write a wee review as well. So yeah, apparently, like, one of the biggest things for a podcast to grow is to have those iTunes reviews. So, like, even if you have an iTunes account and you didn't really use it, or an Apple Podcasts account, /iTunes, it's all muddled now.
Yeah.
If you've got one of those accounts, please, fire us a review and a rating on there would be amazing.
Alongside that, if you fancy hearing about when the new episodes are launched, then you can subscribe to the podcast.
Of course, yeah, you can subscribe on any service you're using. I had our friend Matt from Oh My Glob podcast, chatting to him the other day. He said he'd subscribed on an app I'd never heard of. So it's out there.
Yeah, we are learning these things too.
It's out there. So yeah, whatever you're using, if you can rate, review us, preferably with a 5-star one. If you didn't want to give us a 5-star one, at least tell us why, and maybe we can try and fix it. Or if you just didn't like us, that's also okay. Just
absolutely.
Maybe just move on then.
Yeah.
Speaking of Apple podcast reviews, we have actually got one now.
Woo!
I know, buzzing. We got one from Clarky76, who is, I believe, our friend Graham from the Bearded Beer Pod.
Thanks, Graham.
Yeah, thanks, Graham. If you like beer and Scottish chat, Bearded Beer Pod's a good laugh. It's about 20 minutes to a half hour once a month. And you can just listen to Graham talk about beers he's tried. If you like beers and you want to try them.
Sounds ideal.
That's it. He even talks about alcohol-free beers from time to time.
Wonderful.
I know. So, yeah, absolutely. But anyway, the review says, a great first episode with laugh-out-loud bants and smashing impressions. Just disappointed Mikey didn't hold his breath. So I believe that's a reference to me talking about holding my breath during Madame Web when she was underwater for ages.
Yeah, 3 minutes, I believe.
It was 3 minutes, aye, and I was like, well, I didn't think that can happen. So, given it's the end of the episode, and people can tune out now if they want, should I try doing it?
Yeah, why not?
Hold my breath. We're at the end of the episode, so I'm going to do it, right?
Go for it.
All right.
Do you want me to time you?
You can fill the space by gabbing about whatever you want, right? Okay. Right, hold on. Right. Time me in.
Right. 3, 2, 1, go. Ladies and gentlemen, he's holding his breath. He started. He's looking cool, calm and collected. That's us at 10 seconds. Nice and easy. Wow, didn't realise how long 3 minutes was there. How are you feeling? You doing okay? Yeah, seems to be doing okay. Thumbs up. You're doing very well. Good lung capacity. Very good. Oh, right. Okay, so you managed 50 seconds.
Oh, that wasn't even a minute.
Not even a minute.
I probably could have kept going, but I genuinely felt like I needed to breathe.
That's what happens when you're holding your breath generally.
To be fair, for somebody who's For somebody who had to learn how to use their lungs again a couple of years ago.
You've done very well.
That's no bad.
That's
right?
not a bad effort. Top effort and top-notch podcast as well.
Oh, dearie me. Anyway, with that, can we go have a rest now? I'm knackered after holding my breath for 50 whole minutes.
50 minutes, you wish. 50 seconds.
Whatever, right?
With that, if you would like to reach out to us to give us a review of how you think we are and what you like and what you don't.
Or if you want to suggest a rotten movie, or you just want to chat or want to say hello, whatever.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. To reach out by email, the address is
rankrottenpod@gmail.com. That's rankrottenpod@gmail.com.
It is. And if you want to reach us on Instagram, that's the primary social media that we use. The handle is @rankrottenpod. That's @rankrottenpod.
That's right. So hopefully we hear from you. Come and follow us on Instagram as well. I'm putting out a little clip now of the next week's show.
A little teaser.
Yeah, so...
Just like a real movie.
That's right. The podcast weirdly only launched the other day, right? In real time.
Yeah.
So that's why it's all a bit screwy for us right now. But it's useful for us to stay a little bit ahead, isn't it?
It is. And that's why, for our lifestyle, we've chosen to go with seasons.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes more sense. We're going to have a wee break and work on the next season or whatever else as well. So
exactly.
Thanks for tuning in. Can't thank you enough, seriously. Like I say, come and say hello on our Instagram or email us if you want to as well. And we'll see you for the next one for an alien invasion.
Yeah, get yourself ready for some evolution.
Woo!
Woo!
Bye.
Bye.